I didn't notice you were. How's the heating thing going?
That's how it's going. I've literally been wearing gloves, and I've been wrapped up like I'm bloody outside for winter for the last week. So,
are you warm enough then at the moment?
yeah, I'm warm enough, but my hands are not. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just think I don't have bad circulation or anything. My hands are just very, very cold.
Okay. Are you not even thinking about putting it on for 2 hours?
Not for a second, because I saw how much it cost last year, and I'm not paying that much again. So.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to remember what we figured out. We used the least amount of energy we've ever used in the last couple of months.
Really?
Yeah, just because we haven't had lights on, we haven't had heating on. It's ridiculous. We're paying so much lower than we were. It's great.
Are you not turning any lights on at all?
Well, apart from the one I got on now, because we have to record. But yeah, I have the showers in the dark.
Really?
I only turn lights on if I need to see. And a lot of time I just sort of
you kind of need to see
around.
in the shower, don't you? Because you get up quite early for work, don't you?
Yeah, but I feel like my eyes have adjusted. They can adjust quite well. You can see pretty well in the dark if your eyes adjust.
Fair play.
So if you're constantly in the dark, your eyes are going to be constantly adjusted.
Sure. What's it like showering in the dark then?
Pretty easy.
But is it cool? Do you find it cozying? Do you find it?
I mean, yeah, I usually have my phone on because I'm usually watching a video or something. So I've got that, sort of ambient light lighting up the room, I guess.
What, you mean you just leave the video on in the background while you have a shower?
Yeah. But I mean, I can usually hear it pretty well. So.
Does that not wake your mum up?
Well, I mean, I tend not to do it in the morning. I'll do it in the evening. I'll watch a video in the morning. In the morning, okay. I'm just sort of up and go,
Fair.
Well, CPU is good, so let's stick to it.
Jay, do you drink Coke or lemonade or fizzy drinks?
No, I can't anymore.
Because of the acid reflux thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sad about it?
No. I don't miss it. I can't drink alcohol. I can't have caffeine. I can't have chocolate. I can't have... Did I say alcohol already? I can't have too much, something with too much of a tomato in it. I can't have anything with mint in it.
Can you have tomato pasta?
I mean, preferably not, but I mean, a lot of things have tomato in them, so I just sort of get over that, I guess. But since I've been not having caffeine or chocolate, I've been pretty good, so.
I'm thinking of cutting out even decaf, Jay, because I'm starting to get really bad heart palpitations sometimes.
You're starting to cut out decaf? You mean like coffee?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's more caffeine in decaf coffee than there is in regular tea, so. And I was having regular tea. I think so, I don't know. I know decaf tea is 0.2% the amount of caffeine in a regular cup of tea. So whether or not...
I think decaf coffee is about 1/5 of a normal coffee.
Okay, I think a normal coffee is 80 milligrams or something.
God, that seems like a lot.
So 20 milligrams, I think, is actually less than tea. I think tea is 30 to 40. So.
I think decaf's about the same.
Decaf what?
Oh, sorry, you mean a regular tea, normal?
Yeah, regular normal tea, I think, is about 30 to 40 milligrams, so half the amount of coffee.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't know.
I'm thinking of cutting out because, I had a Diet Coke the other day. Just on the rare occasion,
probably a good
one in
idea.
The fridge, and my heart palpitations were not good.
I mean, I still get those without it, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I guess this is what getting old's like, eh? Okay. Well, we've got a huge show, loads to talk about. Obviously, a lot to catch up on. Busy period of the year. Towards the end of the year, October, November, December, loads of games coming out. So, not saying that I'm playing new games, but lots of stuff to talk about. So let's crack right in, Jay. I hope you guys are ready for the ride because it's going to be a meaty one. I'll tell you that right now. So before we begin, Jay, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
To begin.
Okay.
I think we'll go through your games and we'll just go through the order on the dock and go from there. Really.
Sure. Okay.
So I haven't spoke to you about what order you want to do these in. What you thought?
I'll just start with whatever I remember. I guess we'll start with Gotham Knights, I guess, seeing as that was the longest to go.
Sure. So last time we discussed Gotham Knights,
it was about to come out. It was coming out that next week, I think.
No, we recorded when you just started playing the Saturday morning
Oh
after.
yeah,
You know,
you're
when I
right.
was,
You're right. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I just started
So
playing it. Yeah, you're right.
you just started playing it. So we haven't spoken about it since you started playing it. You told me that you really liked it, or you enjoying it when you were playing it.
Yeah, because there
So
were a bunch of issues with it not being in 60 frames, it just being at 30, which ultimately
right,
didn't really hinder it necessarily. That's the
sure,
thing with 60 frames is it's basically like saying, well, if you don't have it, it's like it's like, well, you could have had it better, but you chose not to. And I think with the
sure.
game being such a high res, like 4K experience, having it in 60 definitely probably would have made it almost unplayable, or at least trying to. It would have made it very, very stuttery and
Oh,
awful.
you mean
So
with like frame rate drops and stuff?
probably, yeah. I honestly didn't have any issues. Like I had zero issues with any amount of like problems necessarily.
Okay. What about I think the other issue is like sort of story length when we last discussed it.
Well, I quite liked it. I think. I mean, it wasn't
Well,
like the
it wasn't the
longest,
pound an
but
hour, right? You know,
yeah, I'm
that's
trying
the
to remember how
usual
long it took.
go-to.
I can't actually remember. I think it was. I mean, it was like roughly 24 hours or something.
I
Maybe
mean, that's
30
not
hours.
great, is it, for a 60 quid game?
No, it's
If we're
funny.
going by
It's
the
actually
pound an
like on
hour
sale right now for really, really cheap. So had I waited, but it
standard,
is
it
Black
probably didn't sell
Friday
as well as
sale,
they
so
thought,
no,
right?
it definitely didn't.
True.
But
Yeah.
and the
So,
fact
what are
that
your
it
thoughts on
wasn't
the
in
game,
60
Jay?
didn't help. Um, what was that?
Sorry. What are your thoughts on the game overall? Now you've finished it, you've had some time to reflect. Give us your, let's dare I say, review. Give us your thoughts on Gotham Knights.
Well, it definitely is lacking in a lot of areas. Like it definitely tried to be like a bunch of other games, but not quite hit the mark, I guess. Like the
Mm-hmm.
UI and the way that the sort of menus played out almost made it look like it was initially going to be like a Avengers sort of live service type game,
Right.
but then it sort of like molded into a single story thing later on, which is fine. Yeah, it almost feels like the amount of story that was there wasn't substantial enough, and it almost like had it been a live service game, it would have been added on to maybe later, and that would have been extra stuff. But I guess they took what they had and just made it into a single player experience, which is
What? So you
fine.
think? So you think development started with an Avengers type thing, and then
Potentially,
throughout
yeah,
they thought actually we'll make it single player.
it kind of had that kind of vibe with the amount of loot and everything, and the way it
Interesting.
worked. It looked very similar to all the Avengers stuff.
Interesting. Did you enjoy your time? Did you think it was a
I
good game?
did. I
Or
played through it twice because I had to do New Game Plus. Uh,
for achievements?
yeah, for yeah, I guess technically, yeah, for achievement.
Okay.
There was only one or two, I think. I didn't get to play every single character. I played my first playthrough with with Red Hood, and then my second one was with Robin. I was planning on going back to play it because in 3 days there's going to be a free update with some sort of like tower sort of horde mode thing, which I haven't really been thinking about honestly.
Is that's the one we discussed where it's going to be like
Yeah,
a free mode
yeah, like a free thing to sort of like add a bunch more
entice you
content
back in?
to it
Yeah.
basically. I was going to go back and do some grinding of like loot and everything, but I don't really feel like I've got too much going on to be able to do that at the minute.
Mm,
I'm playing too much other stuff, so I'll come
yeah.
back
Fair
to that
enough.
probably. Maybe,
That
maybe.
mode. Do you know if that's going to be like Ghost of Tsushima Legends, where it's free for players who haven't even owned the game, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think it is just a free update. If you own the game, it's a completely free thing.
But like, if you don't, but it won't be like a mode that you can play if
No,
you
it's
don't
not like
own it.
it won't be a separate thing. No,
Right. Okay.
can't imagine so. I think people are also hoping that they've added some sort of like bug fix to the game, an extra update potentially to do with frames and stability and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I think they've updated it maybe about 4 or 5 times since release to help with
Okay.
stability and bug fixes and stuff. So they've definitely been on it. It's just keeping on it, I guess.
It sounds a bit. It sound. Don't get me wrong. You know, it doesn't sound like a terrible game. It does sound a bit disappointing though, considering the wait for this game
Yeah,
and
about
what the
2 years
studio's
I
been
think I
doing.
was waiting because I joined the Discord August 2020, and it came out October. When did it come out? October.
I think so,
October
yeah.
2022. So it was basically 2 years, a little over 2 years. So
Right.
yeah, I think I'm satisfied with the amount of time I had with it, but I think overall it was maybe a disappointing. It could have been better. That's the thing. I feel like the theme of like recent games I've been playing is, oh, it could have been better. Like we've had. That's the thing. We now know what it's like to have the best possible version of a particular type of game,
Final Fantasy 7
and then
remake.
having to go back and play the worse of stuff, the not as the people who haven't had as much money to put into it or something. It's just sort of makes it feel slightly lackluster, like we've had it too good for too long, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I'm wondering whether because the cost of making the AAA games is ever going up. I'm wondering whether we just need more studios to make AA stuff, frankly, because then it's less financial risk, and it's not as much commitment, and it won't take 5-6 years to make. But you can still make a very impactful experience. I mean, it's funny because we've got like quite a few games now developed by very, very, very small teams, if not 1 to 5 people, and they're huge. Stardew Valley, Undertale, Tunic, all these games.
Isn't Stardew Valley like literally like 3 or 4 people?
Well, I think it's one main developer called Concerned Ape,
Yeah,
as far as I'm
basically,
aware.
yeah. The funny, I think people. I remember there was a podcast I was listening to before about, or it might have been a YouTube video about how the game industry is sort of the way that it's set up in terms of how developers and how people get their money from the game is actually no, it even might have been Maximilian talking about sort of like rights about games, like the people who get paid for making a game is all sort of surrounding the rights you have. Like let's say you're trying to make like a Marvel game, but you're not Marvel, you're someone else who's been given the rights to it for a certain amount of time. Like the amount of money you get from that is going to be a lot less. It's going to be divvied up differently than someone like the guy who made Stardew Valley, who owns everything. So he gets every single penny, and that's his choice where it gets divvied up.
Sure.
Like there's basically no
like,
middlemen. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, totally. Like apart from like the Xbox store where you've got
Yeah.
to sell it.
Yeah.
Totally. I get that.
And I just think that's like he's incredibly lucky, I guess, to have had that happen. The amount of popularity and how
lucky
well
and
it did.
hard work, right?
Well,
He
yeah,
knew
it
what
must
he
have
wanted
been.
to
Yeah,
make,
and he's definitely. I think they've updated it. They update it all the time. They add so much to it all the time. So
totally.
yeah,
I mean, he had co-op mode, right? And it's not like
but like
he's not putting
Terraria
the
is another
work
one of
in.
those, isn't it? It's just like one of those sort of
Right.
basic things. It's probably made bloody billions at this point.
Right. Yeah.
Made
Totally.
so much.
And even like single player experiences, like let's say Hellblade always comes to mind, right? With AA stuff, like that's an experience where 5-6 hours, and I loved it, and a lot of people loved it. So yeah, I guess I don't know, Jay. The games industry is in a weird place. I agree with you. There's a lot of AAA games at the moment where I'm just like, you know what I mean?
So I
mean?
platinumed Gotham Knights. I did that yeah. I did that fairly quickly. I think I started playing the Friday or the Thursday night, whenever it was, and I think I platinumed it by the Wednesday or no, the Tuesday.
It's pretty good going for Jay.
I think I would have done it on the Monday, but there was a glitch. I can't remember what it was now.
You hit what? A glitch for the achievement?
Yeah.
Oof.
There was something that happened that didn't pop.
The achievement list overall. Go on, sorry. Go
something
on.
didn't pop, and I can't remember what it was. It took like a day to pop.
Did you have to replay it?
No, I didn't have to redo it. It just took 24 hours to pop. So I would have had it.
Oh.
I would have had it 24 hours earlier, but the time doesn't matter. It's whatever. It just took
was that
a while.
like literally the last achievement?
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I can't remember.
So
it so
how
long
was
ago
the
now.
list overall?
Yeah, great. Super easy. Didn't really have to think about
Okay.
much, honestly. I think the collectibles were probably the collectibles were pretty easy as well. So.
Anything missable or difficulty related?
No,
or
nothing
anything?
missable. All good.
Lovely.
Yeah, gotta
Lovely.
love that. Yeah, I think the only thing I would change is how you acquire loot in the game is a bit convoluted.
Okay.
Like the way you get the high level stuff at the end of the game was just like it's not really like guaranteed. It's like a really weird sort of grindy, weird loot system. I kind of wish they'd made that a bit more obvious and how it worked.
Okay.
Like
what do you mean? Like color codes and stuff?
Yeah, there are color coded stuff, but like let's say you go to a thing where you've got a chance of getting a high level gear piece. Like they don't make it as clear on the thing that says where you can go to a place and just randomly get one rather than knowing you're going to get one from a place. Like I kind of wish there was a bit more.
3, like there's certain bosses which you can like grind against to try and get certain weapons, but in Gotham Knights it's more random than that sort of thing.
It was slightly more random than I'd like. So other than that, we're alright. Yeah.
What about the characters, Jay, in the story? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's actually kind of good. Definitely no issues with it.
Okay.
It's it's sort of like whatever. It's sort of like it was like I'm definitely not going to forget it anytime soon. It's just.
Was the ending okay? Like, was the Court of Owls cool and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It sort of leaves it in a weird place, I guess. If they're going to ever do anything else to it, but I don't think they'll ever do anything else soon.
Okay.
I don't know. Right. I'm just happy that I played it, and it's sort of over now. To a degree. Wait for this free update to come out and see what happens. See if I'm even going to bother to try it.
If this free update comes with, an extra 250, 500 gamer score, would that entice you more?
I doubt
or are you not bothered about that?
No, I'm not really bothered. At the minute, I'm not bothered. I've got way too much to deal with at the minute. The only time I'm going to go back to Gotham Knights is if I have literally 0 to buy.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
There's too much stuff.
Right. Shall we leave the big one for last? Shall we go to
what was next?
Warhammer?
Yeah. So there's a new Warhammer game coming out. I was talking to you about it last night.
Yeah.
If you know Vermintide 1 and 2, it's basically like the fantasy side of Warhammer made into a sort of Left 4 Dead type game. But there is actually quite a lot of skill involved. There's a lot of sort of like dodging and strafing and like particular combos you can do to like keep you alive, because it's almost like Left 4 Dead but playing on hard essentially. Like it really is like it's a strategy game and a Left 4 Dead game at the same time. Like there's a lot of like brain power required if you want to be good at it. There's also like a loot kind of system, and there's like the story that goes along with it. So and yeah, they finally made the 40k version, which is the sort of sci-fi version. And yeah, it's called Darktide rather than Vermintide, and it looks great. And it's coming to Game Pass, so I can actually play it. Because I think initially I remember I looked it up a couple of months ago and said no, it's not coming to Game Pass. And I think they've obviously struck a deal since then that they've been happy with. So
okay, right.
Yeah, I want to say I checked probably like 3 or 4 months ago, and they were like, no, definitely not coming. But they might have been sorting out a deal or something. So.
A fairly good release for Game Pass, I suppose, during these winter months, perhaps.
The Game Pass is having a bit of it's having a couple of games come out that are gonna really solidify it as being like the best of the best at the minute. So.
Yeah, totally. With Darktide, J-Balls, I remember watching a trailer for this and thinking this looks quite interesting. I'm not sure if you recall as well. It might have been Summer of Gaming, perhaps, or even the Game Awards last year. I can't remember, but yeah, don't know if you remember that.
Sure. Yeah, I think we spoke about it. It's one of those ones where there's definitely a little bit of research. You have to study it a little bit before you go in. It'd be a bit of a steep curve if you just went into it blind, I think.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if you remember Killing Floor 2. Do you remember that game?
Rings a bell.
Yeah, it still sort of hangs around on the store. I bought that game a couple of years ago, and I probably spent well over 100 hours on that game. It's much like Left 4 Dead, but it's sort of like more of a horde mode. It's like if you just had the horde mode on Gears or whatever.
Okay, sure.
But there's
different maps, I assume, and stuff.
Yeah, different maps, different classes, I guess you could say. And if you're a fan of Killing Floor 2, the soundtrack on that is much like Doom. Like it's all very heavy stuff. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Gordon was involved in that at some point. But yeah, no, it's sort of giving me Killing Floor 2 vibes. So if I can get that same amount of excitement I had for that game into this one, then I'll be happy about that.
Did you watch? Watch bloody hell! Did you see that game? Is it Metal Hellraiser? You know, like the rhythmy based Doom one.
Yeah, I
I'm not
saw
sure if
that. Yeah.
have you tried it? You interested
No,
or?
I'm not really that interested. I've sort of seen it around for a while. I remember there's been a couple iterations of those style of games, and actually they're very good at speed running. If you're a fan of watching speedrunner games, that's definitely
Okay,
one of the ones to watch, I'd say.
nice. Okay, cool. Did you also see that? Sorry to detract. So just comes to mind. Did you see that Evil West came out as well, or
Yeah, I
coming out?
saw that. That's sort of, it's funny. The Evil West reminded me of sort of, it feels like a 360 era game.
Yeah, totally.
Like I've seen people online talking about it and sort of giving their 2 cents, and they were like, yeah, you're not playing this game for like a modern experience. You're sort of playing it as like a nostalgic go in, run and gun. Just it's almost like like a day of a game of old type thing.
Yeah, that's what Skillup was saying. The
Yeah,
Australian geezer.
yeah. It looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a 360 game, but made for new gen.
Now, yeah, totally. It looks like it knows what it's doing,
Yeah,
and I imagine it's going to come to Game Pass. So I'm going to wait on that one. I'm
yeah.
not
It
sure
does look
about
like a
you.
Game Passy type game. I looked at it and went, yeah, I'm not going to buy that, but
Yeah,
I'm glad it exists. It's one of those ones where I'm really happy that there's certain people who will be loving that game. So.
totally. And you've also got upcoming releases on the dock, Jay. I'm not sure if there's any more you want to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a sort of like breeze over. Oh, what there was one, Atomic Heart.
Yeah, heard
Yeah,
about
I've been
that.
talking
Seen
about
some
that game
trailers.
for like years now at this point, but that's finally coming to Game Pass, which is pretty cool.
What, this year?
No, next year.
Oh, okay.
It
That's
comes
cool. That's a
out. I
nice
mean, the
Game
game
Pass
actually
grab.
comes out, I think, in February. I think.
Okay.
So luckily, it's
I'm
coming on
going to be
Game Pass as well. Because I was actually planning to buy it, but because it comes out really close to Dead Island and Hogwarts, I was like, maybe I won't be able to afford it at the same time. So
fair.
I'd have to
I'm going
pick
to be honest
one.
with you, Jay. That game to me completely looks like Still Rising or that sort of
Oh
game
really?
where,
No,
yeah,
no,
it
no,
looks
no.
interesting, concept interesting. No, I know it's a different type of game,
Well, no, I mean
but
like
concept looks interesting, trailers look good, and then it comes out and everyone's just a bit like,
I feel like
you know
this
what I mean?
Atomic Heart is much like Cyberpunk or like even like Fallout, where it will it looks amazing. Like it's one of those games where like the entire gameplay we've seen is all like PC next gen, kind of like
Right.
4K high res like graphics.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
depending on what the game story is like, the actual mechanics of the game, and whether or not it plays well enough on console, that will literally make or break the sort of future of how these games are made. I think because it literally has it hits all the right notes of potentially being one of the greatest like Fallout esque type games ever.
Really? Are we
Yeah.
being that confident with it, J
Well, no, I'm
Balls?
just saying it has the
Potential.
prerequisite, you know,
Sure.
the potential. It
Okay.
has everything. I look at that and go, oh, this could be one of the greatest games of all time, or it could
Okay.
be completely awful. Like it almost gives me like a Metro style of look, where I think
Okay.
Metro
Sure.
looks amazing, like the new Metro that came out. But because I remember they showed a demo of it like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer than that now, and everyone went, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is going to be the next best thing," and
Yeah.
it came out and nobody played it because it wasn't that good.
Well, I heard it was. I heard it was pretty good.
Well, I'm sure it's
But yeah,
great,
you're
but I
right.
feel like it didn't have the impact it could have
Impact.
had. I almost feel like it's a timing thing, weirdly. Like
Well,
I reckon
timing,
had that
quality. I
Metro
think
game come out
Xbox.
10 years ago and had this Atomic Heart game come out 10 years ago, it probably would have been Game of the Year each of those years it came out. Like it just
Well,
feels like
Metro
the
game
new
did come out 10
Bioshock.
years ago. It's called Metro
Well, no, I
2033,
mean the
right?
Metro that came out recently.
Sure, but it's a completely
Like I
different
feel
game,
like
Jay.
these sort of games are like those sort of games you look at and go, oh, this is like the next big Bioshock or like Horizon or like
Sure.
one of those games you look at and go, that's a contender. Like I'm just hoping
Like
I'm hoping it just
post-apocalyptic.
comes out like that. I'm hoping it comes out and people it's like, oh, this is going to be a contender. Like there's some
I
games
hear
you can
you.
just tell, you know.
I hear
But this
you.
is one of
And
those
Metro
ones where it's
Exodus
on
did
the
look
line.
really cool. And I think Xbox even opened with it in E3 one year. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think you're right about that.
yeah, had a
Yeah.
lot of potential, but I don't know. A lot of times they just fall flat.
I
Really
hear you.
odd.
I mean, it might be due to like too many games coming out. It might be due to, like you say, maybe the game just isn't as good as it needs to be to hit that, like, break the mold and really.
It's
get
almost
into
like
the
games need to
mainstream.
go viral nowadays to like have any amount of like staying power.
Stray, for an instance, right? That's
Yeah,
quite viral.
that game wouldn't have done as well if it didn't go as viral as it did.
100%. 100%.
It's almost like games have sort of become like online content now, where they just need to go viral to actually do it any good.
Here's one for you. This is a bit dramatic, right? Imagine Stray, you're playing like a raccoon instead.
That'd be great.
Probably would have impacted or made it less memeable just because it's not a cat. Do you know what I mean?
Or even if it was like, change it to any other animal, a dog, an elephant,
right?
A giraffe.
Well, yeah, but people like dogs, don't they?
That's what I'm saying. Like, depending on the animal, there's a level of virality that 100%. Makes it. Cat is like the ultimate viral animal. It's literally the animal that it got memed. That was like the first meme. And there's cats. Can I has cheeseburger? Like, it's one of the oldest ones.
Yeah. I have fond memories of that game, dude. I like that game.
I still need to play it.
It's good. It's quite short too. That might be a lovely little game for you over Christmas, Jay, if you fancy it.
Well, I've got plans for. Well, actually, do I have plans? I don't think I even have plans for games necessarily for Christmas. There's a bunch of games I'm playing now. Where I hope I get that done before then. But maybe I'll go back to Gotham Knights over Christmas. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So next we've got Persona 5.
Yes, I'm about 80 hours in. I'm very close to the end. I think if I was playing the original game, I'd be pretty much at the end. But because I'm playing Royal, there's like a bunch of additional stuff I need to do after this. So
I got the impression, Jay, Royal was more like 120, 130 hours.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, but we're going to Jable speed, Goldlock speed. Is that right?
I mean, I'm trying to think. I'll probably get this thing done between 100 and 110. More than likely. I mean, it might be before that. I don't know. It's hard to say at the minute. I don't really know how much extra stuff there is.
How's the achievement guide going? As complex as ever, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly easy actually. It's a lot easier than you'd think.
Is it?
Yeah, there's no difficulty achievements, thankfully. There's 58 achievements, I think. 52, something like that.
Same as like Guardians then, sort
of
level.
It's 1000 G, so there's no extra stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks pretty simple. Like, it's not difficult. It's just time consuming.
Okay, alright.
It's the same length as like the AC Valhalla, but just much easier.
Okay.
Not as much to think about.
Good comparison. And thoughts on Persona 5J? Still loving it?
It's probably in my top 10 games of all time now. Thing is, I'd have to rejig my list. I haven't looked at my list, and I don't know what to take out.
Jay, I've got to bring it up again just because we talk about it so much, right?
Yeah.
Well, one, you are genuinely making me consider playing this game.
Honestly, it's frightening. I'm thinking about buying the soundtrack. Like, it's so good, dude. And I'm playing it in Japanese too, for curious people.
That's cool.
Because if you hear the English dub, it is awful.
Really?
I've seen clips of it online, and I'm like, oh, it's so cringy. It's just so much. Honestly, what's funny? I can't take English seriously as much as I used to. I find it so much easier to take a foreign language more seriously than I do English.
I get that.
It's cringy, if not. I don't know.
Question number 2. How are you not freaking out about the time-based stuff?
There isn't. It's not necessarily time-based. Like, let's say if I started the game and I was halfway through and it was like part of the day, and I sat my controller down unpaused, like nothing would change.
Okay, but you still have to make choices, don't you?
Yeah.
To, like, who you spend time with.
You can. There's definitely like not. It's not necessarily a correct way of playing the game, but there's definitely like a recommended. If you want to be able to get all the achievements, you have to follow a guide. You wouldn't be able to do it without one. And any guide you follow is going to be slightly different to another. So I had a look at the guide I'm using now versus another guide, and I was like, oh, they did that thing like a month later, or they did that thing a month earlier. They just did it in different order. So you can get to the same conclusion. You can do it in different orders. But there's definitely a recommended one.
Can you see
for certain, like let's say, so there's like a stat-based system where you have to have a certain amount of like knowledge or proficiency or charm, and to be able to get the amount of charm you need for certain dialogue options in like October in the game, you'll need to by the end of like August have a certain stat to a certain level. Let's say like that, right?
Okay.
And you would not be able to figure that out unless you follow the guide.
Okay, fine. I get that.
There's no like, because I'm already like you get maxed out pretty early, as long as you follow the correct guide. But like,
surely there's missable content if you like go one way and not the other. If that makes sense. Because like, surely if you're like, right, you can hang out with Kate or Lauren.
No, because by the end of the game, you'll have done every single hangout opportunity.
So you see
no
pretty
necessarily
much everything the game's got to offer.
Yeah,
I mean,
right? Because every person you hang out with has a rank out of 10, and by the time you've got them to rank 10, you've done every single possible hangout you could.
And you can do that in one load file.
Yeah, definitely. You have to, I think, to be able to get the achievement. I mean, I'm ranked 10 with. I think out of the like 16 people you have to rank up, I'm probably ranked 10 with like 9 or 10 of them.
Is it turn-based, by the way?
Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
Brilliant, my favourite.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about that.
Why?
Well, it's a bit old school, but if it's done well, I don't mind.
It's done very well, yeah.
Okay.
It's a great art style. I think that also helps.
Sure.
Because it is basically like playing an anime.
Sure. I've seen the UI. The UI looks crazy.
That was probably one of my favorite things about it, is the fact that the UI, like the whole thing is sort of based around the tarot cards.
Oh, sure.
So like even your name, like you're called Joker, that's like your alias in the game. And like all the confidants who you have to rank up, that's like what they are. They're all based on certain tarot cards. So there's like the Tower, the Hierophant, the Counselor, Lovers, Death. There's like all the classic tarot card sort of like things. Each person is assigned their own tarot card, and you have to sort of rank them up as you go along. So
here's one for you, Jay. I think this shows the brave. I think this shows how passionate the Japanese developers are, because if any Western developer were like, "Yeah, our main character is called Joker," you know what's coming? What you mean, like Batman?
Oh,
Joker?
yeah. No, but it's funny. I mean? Like, I haven't even thought about that, honestly.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But like Persona 5 comes out, Game of the Year, and all this stuff, and the main character's called Joker.
Well, yeah,
not a single person has been like, "Oh yeah, look, you mean like Batman?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure people have made that comparison, but they're probably people who don't understand the fact that the Joker is also like the part of the tarot card thing, right? And it's also like Joker as like a deck of cards kind of thing.
Sure.
So it's just sort of like, it's basically like the, you know, what do you call it? Like the jester, essentially. It's sort of more of a jestery than an actual like type thing.
So what's the priority list looking like for you, Jay, then? So obviously we're about to talk about what you've been playing, but is Persona 5, are you looking to get that done before Christmas?
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping to get it done before Pokemon came out, but that didn't happen. So
you played it quite a lot.
Underestimated how long. Oh yeah, no, I was playing it every day.
Okay.
I think for the last week, I basically haven't touched it for about 5 or 6 days, and I started playing it again last night. So.
Okay.
I'd say Persona is definitely priority 1.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you brought up the other P word, Jay.
I did. Pokemon. Yeah, Pokemon came out a week ago. Well, a week and a day ago.
Scarlet and Violet, ladies and gentlemen, the new gen Pokemon games are out and in the wild.
Gen 9.
There's loads of reviews out there. I'm going to fucking slate it. But before we do that, Jay, come on. Tell me. I haven't had to ask you anything.
Yeah, you haven't asked me a single thing.
What's going on? What are we thinking? Have you finished them? Have you finished both?
Yeah, I've finished it. I've finished just Scarlet. I have both. I haven't even opened Violet because I'm potentially going to resell that in the future. I'm hoping it'll I'm either going to play it or I'm just going to resell it for like a bunch more. I don't know. I'll see.
Bro, I'm not going to lie to you. Switch games resell for quite a lot, don't they?
Well, Pokemon games resell for a lot.
Because they get
depending on the popularity of the game, that they can resell for a lot.
I don't understand, Jay. Why don't they just make enough copies?
Because they don't know how many people are going to buy them. They don't want to waste money.
Fair point. Okay.
And I'll talk about that in
So
a minute.
why did you pick Scarlet over Violet?
Scarlet had a better legendary, better looking
cool.
legendary. Actually, I can show you. Hang on.
You should. I already looked. Oh, yeah,
I know, but just for the.
Yeah, please.
For
the audio listeners, Jay's going to show us the cases for Scarlet and Violet in his thermos gear.
I'm like decked out, and I feel like a bloody tank.
I'm not gonna lie, Jay. You look a little bit like a homeless person.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm going for, to be honest.
It's quite funny how the audio quality of his mic has not changed, but he has actually moved from the camera, believe it or not.
Well, no, it's because I got my mic on my head.
I know.
Duffer. All right.
Is it wireless, by the way, or not?
No, it's wired in.
Oh, okay.
Hang on.
You look like you haven't got any fingers left. you got like butts.
It's obviously going to be backwards, but these are the two.
Okay.
They're looking at each other.
Just to let you know, Jay, it's fuzzy on my screen, but
That's
obviously
fine.
you're recording the pod, so it should be fine.
Yeah.
So Scarlet's the one on the right, is it?
This one here, yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So
that's cool.
I don't know if you can tell, but one of them almost looks like a prehistoric, almost like a dinosaur, and the other one looks more like a robot.
Yeah, Violet looks like a robot.
That's
right?
fairly intentional. Yeah. So part of the story is that the professor of the game is sort of like absent. We don't actually see them. We only see them on a TV screen very briefly.
Okay.
And,
do I need to say spoilers, Jay? Do I need to say spoilers?
I mean, to a degree, not much.
Okay.
I'm not going to say exactly what happens, but it's literally just the premise is that there's a... well, in previous Pokemon games, in Sun and Moon, they figured out how to open up these wormholes to let these weird legendary creatures come through. They were called Ultra Beasts, essentially, right? And you could travel through these wormholes to get to this other dimension to be able to fight these creatures.
Is this Arceus or Arceus?
No, this is in Sun and Moon. This is from like 2013.
Oh,
this
sorry.
is a long time ago.
Yeah, you did say, yeah.
And they sort of expanded on that premise in this game, in that there's a portal that is being opened by the professor, and these, depending on what game you play, either the prehistoric Pokemon come through or the futuristic Pokemon come through.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you have Scarlet, you can get Pokemon like Great Tusk, or Screamtail, or
Screamtail.
I can't remember what it's called. It's like Descending Moon or something. Oh no, Roaring Moon. And basically, these are like names given to these prehistoric Pokemon, but they're actually like the. I guess you could either say they're the ancient version of Pokemon that already exist, or they're the I guess different dimensional versions of the Pokemon that already exist. So Great Tusk is Donphan, which is like a sort of elephant type Pokemon. Screamtail is like a new version of Jigglypuff. And Roaring Moon, I think, is a new version of Salamence, which is like a big dragon type thing. Okay. There's definitely more than that. I'm just calling the ones I remember. But they all have like these sort of like weird like ancient looks to them if you play the Scarlet version, and if you play the obviously Violet version, they have like they're all robots essentially. They're all made out of metal.
And you preferred the kind of more prehistoric look then?
Well, I like them all, but I don't know. I just like the way that the prehistoric legendary looked. I much prefer the way the legendary looked, because you actually get the legendary in the first hour of the game.
What?
So this is the first game ever where you get your legendary Pokemon within the first hour, but you can't use the Pokemon until the end of the game. You can't like battle with the Pokemon until the end of the game, which is what you usually get, right? But the thing you can do with the Pokemon is actually ride on the Pokemon. So you can use them to fly about, to run, and to swim, and to climb.
Because what they did so the legendary Pokemon becomes like your main like mount.
Yeah, basically like a mount. Because in Arceus they had the same thing. They had ride Pokemon, but they were the ride Pokemon were sort of divvied up between different Pokemon. So if you wanted to fly, you had to use the particular flying Pokemon. If you wanted to climb, you had to use the climbing Pokemon. If you wanted to run around, you could use a different Pokemon for that, right? And swim and whatever. But they've sort of taken that idea from Arceus and then made it into just one legendary, and they can do everything.
So is this game very much a sequel to Arceus?
Not really, no. Technically, it's actually a sequel to the previous game, because in the game they talk about events that happened in Sword and Shield, which was the last gen that came out.
Okay.
Which I think is actually one of the first times that a Pokemon game has ever referenced something that happened in a different area of the world.
Wow.
Or at least like that blatantly. Like that's the thing about with Pokemon, there's actually like a library you can go to, and it gives you a bunch of like lore about Pokemon and stories and stuff. So, which is pretty cool.
So in terms of this game, so I do want to ask you about spoilers because I don't give a shit. But
okay,
what we'll do is we'll just cover like the main basics. So how did you find the game, Jay? Did you like it? Did you love it? What would you rate it? You're the best. No, yeah. What do you think?
Okay, so I'll start with people like the general consensus is this is probably the best Pokemon game that's ever existed. In terms
okay, I'm gonna stop you right there, Jay.
Okay, well I didn't explain yet, but go on.
Sorry. All right, carry on.
So you know, I'll let you get there. In terms of like the things that used to make it hard for you to make your Pokemon like competitive viable, or like if you wanted to shiny hunt for a Pokemon, it used to be a lot like it used to be very very hard. Like the items you had to really like grind for, or yeah, you had to sort of grind to be able to get them essentially. But now you can just buy them outright from the start of the game, which is kind of amazing. So in terms of like how easy it is to do certain things in the game now, it's the easiest it's ever been. Maybe other than Arceus. Arceus made it extremely easy too. Graphically, it's probably definitely the best one, which I know you probably have an issue with, but it definitely is. Like if you compare it to Sword and Shield, it's like it's way above, way above. But the only thing that dragged it down, well, actually, the story was actually probably one of the better stories as well because they split it into three stories. Because in previous Pokemon games, it's kind of been hard to follow because it's multiple storylines but in one linear thing. Whereas now they've actually split it up to three and they all sort of converge at the end, so it sort of makes it a bit more easier to follow, and it all actually helps with the open worldness of the game. So the story's good, gameplay is great, things that make it easier for you to actually like do things in the game is much better. This is probably one of the best Pokedex of the game we've ever had as well. Like the variety of Pokemon and how they actually play in the game is probably one of the better ones. In previous Pokemon games, we found it like really annoying. Like if you get like a Pokedex that has like Pokemon that aren't really like fun or viable for the run, it can make the game just seem a bit naff overall. But yeah, the thing dragging it down was definitely performance. Like it's very laggy, very stuttery in places. And a lot of people have been having a lot of bugs with the game, so it didn't really hinder my experience too much. I'm one of these people for some reason where I'll play a buggy game and never come across a bug ever.
That does seem to keep happening.
It does. Cyberpunk, I didn't have a single bug experience until they updated the game later.
Sure.
With this, I think I've only come across 2 bugs in the entire game, and they're not like game breaking or anything. So
okay.
What do you reckon then, Nick? What do you want to say?
Yeah, a lot. I want to say a lot. Okay, hey. So you love the game then? You think it's one of the best, right?
Yeah, I'm trying. I actually think at the minute I prefer Arceus.
I was just going to ask you, obviously, because we have this new spin-off to compare it to now. Yeah. And I was just wondering what your thoughts were compared to Arceus to begin with.
I think Arceus probably is my number 1 Pokemon game at the minute.
Okay. And is this very much in this, the same sort of open world stuff, right?
Yeah, so Arceus was sort of split up into 5 areas you could like travel to, and then it had a hub. Whereas now they've sort of done that same thing, but taken away the loading screen in between each. So you've just got one massive, massive landmass, the sort of the main city in the middle, and then the 5 areas split around that you can just walk to and go to without having to load too much. Honestly. Actually, there's basically 0 loading, yeah.
Okay.
So they've just taken away the walls and made it one big thing, which is great.
Okay. Fine.
Because you can fly about and climb and everything, so you kind of have to be.
And how many new Pokemon are there roughly?
So I think 103, which is one of the bigger ones we've had in recent years. I think in Sword and Shield there was only 81 new Pokemon. I think before that we had I think the lowest amount of new Pokemon we've ever had is like in the 70s or 60s, and the most we've ever had I think was in a couple hundred. So having 100 is pretty decent, honestly.
Okay, fine. And also, if you want to fill out your Pokédex, I assume there's ones that you can't get that are in Violet.
Yeah.
If you played Violet on your system, could you like theoretically trade with the game you own, or do you actually have to find someone with the other game?
Yeah, so the way you get around that is there's a thing called Pokemon Home. Do you know what that is?
Like the weird hub thing, right?
Yeah, Pokemon Home is basically a place where you can store your Pokemon from multiple Pokemon games. So let's say you had like a Pokemon game, like your original Leaf Green or Fire Red. What you used to be able to do is, I don't know if I don't think it's around anymore. But you'd put it in Pokemon Bank, which was sort of like 3DS or the old DS version of Pokemon Home, where you could store your Pokemon. But now they've gotten rid of that, so it's hard to do that. But they've sort of made Pokemon Home, which is, yeah, so you store your Pokemon in there, and if you want to trade it between games, you can. But they said that the home integration isn't day one, so you won't actually be able to use that until next year, unfortunately. So if I wanted to like catch Pokemon in Violet and put them into Scarlet, I could.
It's a brand new Pokemon game.
Yeah,
they've
been really bad with their integration of home. Like, it's awful. Like, they didn't get home integration with BDSP until like recently, and that came out in November. No, that came out
right.
Yeah, November last year. It's like a year ago. So I think it took them like 9 months to be able to make it work. For some reason, they're just like really behind with all that stuff. So the way to get around it now is you can either trade with someone who you know who owns the other version, or you can try and do the raids in the game and hope that you can catch the Pokemon that are in the raids instead.
What, and in the raids there's Pokemon from
both versions,
the other game?
Yeah. So I've already like there's almost like a mascot of the game other than the legendary called well, they've got Armor Rouge and Cerulege, and they're sort of like different versions of the same Pokemon, or like evolutions of different Pokemon, but in different games. So if you want the purple one, you have to have Violet. If you want the red one, you have to have Scarlet. But I've already caught the purple one from just doing raids, so I now have that in my game, but I can't catch it in my game, if you know what I mean.
What's a raid? Sorry?
Yeah, so in Sword and Shield, they introduced something called raid dens, which were places where if they were going to do special events for Pokemon, you could like capture them in these like raids where you could fight with other people to like take down the boss Pokemon and then catch it afterwards. You also get items from doing raids, and then you also like really like legendary items, I guess, like really hard to get ones. And there's different like levels of raids. So if you do a 1-star, you're going to get a Pokemon that's going to have terrible stats, and you're only going to get really terrible items. But if you do a 6-star raid, a 5 or a 6-star like special raid, you basically get a Pokemon that's guaranteed, I think, 5 out of the 6 best stats, and you're also going to have like really good items from it as well. But the higher the stars, the harder it is to kill the Pokemon to be able to catch it.
Sure. And do you do these with other players?
Yeah, so you can do it online with 3 other people and hope that they know what they're doing, or you can do it on your own and the game will fill in the blank with CPU type.
And have you found that in your experience the raids by yourself are okay? Or?
So if you do a raid by yourself, the timer goes down every time someone dies or their Pokemon dies, and you respawn your Pokemon every time you die. If you do solo, the 3 other people, whenever their Pokemon dies, the timer doesn't go down. It's only when your Pokemon dies, so it is slightly easier solo. But if you do it online, if anyone dies, the timer just goes down in big chunks. So you kind of have to you have to not die essentially. Like I've got the Pokemon I'm using. I've got 2 Pokemon I'm using for raids at the minute, and they're both max stat level 100. And that's pretty much the only way you can do these really hard raids. You have to have a max stat Pokemon, and they have to be level 100. Because the boss,
have this sort of end game stuff.
Yeah, the boss Pokemon at the minute, I think, are level 75, and even if you're level 75, you're going to struggle. So you need to be level 100 max stat to even have a chance.
Right.
Because I'm doing it with people who also have that, and we can still lose. So.
And the raids are in the new one as well, then.
But yeah, so in Sword and Shield they were called raid dens, but in Scarlet and Violet they're called terror raids, because the new mechanic or the new gimmick of the game is terrestrialization, which is essentially making your Pokemon be able to change their typing for the rest of the match, I guess. So let's say at the minute I've got like a rock and a poison type Pokemon. If I know that the weakness of my Pokemon is fighting, then I can change my Terra type, or like hopefully catch a Pokemon with the Terra type of whatever's resistant to fighting, so that if they hit me with a fighting move, I'll resist it rather than taking super effective damage from it. So you can use Terra typing as a defensive tool, or if you want to make it an offensive tool, you can make it to something that is the same type as you already have. So if I make my Terra type a rock or a poison type, I can then use a rock or a poison move, and it'll do 4 times the amount of damage against that opposing Pokemon rather than 2 times. So I can either make myself have way more damage or take way less damage, depending on the Terra type. But you can't, like, the Terra type of your Pokemon is fairly static. Like, you can't change it willy-nilly. You kind of have to, like, grind in-game to be able to change it later on if you want to. And that's probably like the hardest bit of it at the minute. This is all very, very, like, you know, inside baseball kind of stuff. But there is a massive end game to this. So that's like the good thing about it, I guess.
So have you finished it? Are you still playing it? Like,
I've gotten to the point where I've sort of done everything. I've caught the legendaries. The only thing I really need to do is recatch my main legendary, because you can technically have 2. You can have the ride one and like a battle one. And then I guess I can just shiny hunt now. I can do Terra raids whenever I want. There's currently an event on at the minute. It's an Eevee event, but I'm not really fussed about that. I'm waiting for the Charizard event to come out, and then I'll do that.
Okay.
Because at the minute Charizard isn't in the game, but he's about to be in the game when they do the special Terra raid event. So.
Okay. And furthermore, sorry, I keep losing track of my thoughts because I'm not very good. I need to chill out more, I think. Meditate more. Keep focus.
Sure.
What was I going to ask about?
Probably about whether I like a certain thing, or... I don't know.
Yes. The legendary Pokemon.
Yeah.
Are you much more attached to them?
Oh, yeah, because you sort of... Yeah, you're with them for the entire game. So that's definitely one thing is probably one of the best things about it. Is previous legendary Pokemon I never really gave a shit about. I always just put them straight in the box. I never really used them.
Straight in the box.
Yeah, because I had no attachment whatsoever.
Get in there,
That's the good thing about. By the end of the game, like my party of Pokemon, like I love them all. Like they're my Pokemon, you know.
Sure.
You can obviously nickname Pokemon and stuff. I tend not to do that, but I now have like an attachment to my Pokemon that I use until the end of the game. And luckily, so you know how you used to have the Hall of Fame in Pokemon, where you could like check who you used in the Elite Four. Well, now you can add a ribbon onto your Pokemon that says they were used during your Elite Four experience. So when you release them, it'll say their name and it'll say like Paldea Champion next to it.
That's cool.
Because they're now the champion Pokemon of that region.
So in terms of the game, Jay,
what
I want to ask you about is the fact that you mentioned that a lot of people are pretty positive then across the board. Is that fair to say?
It's sort of like a love-hate relationship.
Right, okay. I'll tell you what my perspective is, Jay, if I may say.
Please,
so.
Yeah.
My perspective is that it is exactly what I thought it was, in that the Pokemon fans love it, which is great. And it's more sort of Arceus type stuff, which is great. But the game looks like dog shit. And it runs not great. And it looks like a PS2 game. And I don't care, Jay. I don't own it. You like it. That's all that matters, because you like Pokemon. But I think it feels like the line between the Pokemon fans and, let's say, Nintendo fans and everybody else is getting bigger as the games go on. I don't think Arceus was necessarily perhaps as big, but it seems as though this game, right, like I think it reviewed quite well in some areas. Some YouTubers saying actually this game's trash. So I'm sure the truth is perhaps somewhere in between, but I just wanted to bring that up, I suppose.
Yeah, it almost feels like the bad reviews I've seen are almost on purpose as like a protest of like letting Nintendo know, hey, we're not happy with the fact this game doesn't run very well. We love the game. We think the game is absolutely brilliant, and we're happy with the amount of effort you've put in to actually like change it up slightly. Stuff. And the actual like the mechanics and everything are great. Like the way that the experience is great. It's just the fact that it runs like terribly, basically.
I'm shocked that it runs bad, because Nintendo usually are pretty good on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's weird. Nintendo have never had a game that ran bad. This is the first time that any Pokemon game has ever run terribly.
And also, why rush it out anyway? Because we've had 2 Pokemon games in the last year anyway, so there was no reason they needed to get this out this year.
Well,
right?
I think COVID definitely didn't help, because technically there's supposed to be a new generation of Pokemon every 3 years. And this is the year that the new Pokemon game was supposed to come out. So the next Pokemon gen will be 2025 now. End of 2025.
2025. Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be every 3 years. So it's almost like a rule they have, I guess. But now they've made it a point to make in between games, like every year or every year and a half, they'll release one now. So
okay,
I think people were sort of like saying, accusing them of being like, oh, they don't have enough time to make the game. But I think a lot of it was because there's different teams that work over there, so you can't really blame that because it's not the same team working on 2 different games. It's 2 teams working on 2 games. I definitely think that it was just they were just being slightly more ambitious with the open world aspect. Had this game not been open world, it would have ran fine, I think.
Sure.
Because I think if you had made Arceus what this game is, it would have run terribly. Because there's just so much more to load, so the game's struggling to keep up. That's all it is.
With no Switch Pro out there,
yeah, this game was made for Switch Pro without a Switch Pro existing.
You reckon?
Yeah, 100%. If we had a Switch Pro, this game would have been flawless.
Would you buy a Switch Pro if it came out?
Not right now. Maybe by Gen 10. Because I have a feeling by Gen 10, the Switch Pro will have already been out for about a year or so. I'm hoping. Sure. So yeah, once on the lead up to the next generation, I'll probably get a Switch by then. Yeah, that's my plan. Because obviously by end of 2025, will be 3 years. Or what year did the Xbox and the PS5 come out? Was it 2020 or 2021?
2020.
Right. So 2027 will be the same amount of time between Xbox One release and new gen release. So 2025 will be sort of my console between now and then next gen will be when I get a new console, Xbox and PlayStation. So
sure, okay. So let's go spoiler mode for a minute.
Sure.
Actually, no. Quick question before spoiler mode. Actually, did you find that change to the trainers thing was big?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Funnily enough, yes, I think that definitely had. It made my experience different, but there's a reason they give you a reason to actually go fight the trainers in this. In that at almost every Pokemon Center, there's a guy standing outside of it being like, if you battle this many trainers in the area, I'll give you a special prize or an item. And a lot of the time, those items are pretty valuable, so good incentive.
Cool.
So I made it a point to where whenever I came to a new area, I'd always go fight like 5 or 10 trainers, come back, and he just gave me the reward every time. So I was like, sweet. So yeah, and also the trainers tend to be on the routes that you go to, right? So they're like on the main roads essentially, but there are quite a few that are sort of like around the area as well. So I will say that probably the only other big thing is this game was probably one of the easier Pokemon games I've ever played. There was almost no challenge whatsoever.
Isn't that a rising complaint, Jay? Because yeah. I remember Sword and Shield being dead easy from memory.
No, Sword and Shield was difficult.
Oh, okay.
I think it was notoriously difficult in areas.
Okay.
It almost feels like they've had feedback from younger audiences being like, we can't play the game, it's too difficult. This game definitely feels more like a kid's version of Pokemon than it does an adult version of Pokemon. But in other areas, it feels more adult, so it's kind of weird. Like, Pokemon games have to ride that line between being made for their adult audience versus being made for their kid audience. So, because clearly they've obviously made it a lot easier for kids to be able to enter the competitive side of stuff with the amount of how easy it is now to make competitive Pokemon. But it's making the game easier definitely makes it less fun in terms of a challenge. Like BDS, like the old games, like the Elite Four were bloody difficult. Like
really difficult.
Like the Elite Four, I think I one-shot every single Elite Four.
Really?
Pokemon. I literally think I didn't think I had to heal up my Pokemon that much. Like it was I wasn't even over leveled. I was sort of like on the same level.
I think
and there's people saying who are like less levels who find it just as easy. So I was like, oh god,
Jesus.
Yeah.
I think that is taking away from the experience. I think that feedback's great, but you can only do so much with feedback. People don't know what they want until you show them. Sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like the general consensus I found online is that there's certain things that Pokemon fans want from previous Pokemon games that for some reason Game Freak are like, yeah, we're just going to get rid of it. But no, it's like one of the most popular aspects of previous Pokemon games. They're like, yeah, we don't want to make you happy. We'll just get rid of it. And it's like, why? Keep it in the bloody game. So the one thing that I'm mainly talking about is being able to re-battle the Elite Four and re-battle the gym leaders. You cannot do that in this game.
Did they introduce it before?
Yeah. I think in every other Pokemon game, you can re-battle the Elite Four, but you cannot do it in this one.
Why?
The thing you can do is sort of like a they call it an academy tournament or something, where you can just fight these like really strong enemies that are like a random enemies that are like, you know.
That literally sounds like more effort than just making the Elite Four replayable. Like literally,
it's very annoying. Yeah.
What?
You do have to re-battle the gym leaders once for like a story aspect, but that's it.
And then I'm sure they'll patch it in and go, "Oh, look how good we are." We
maybe, yeah, they could add it as DLC, but I don't know.
Jeez,
that's the thing about Pokemon games, is that they've never made a Pokemon game that's had the best of everything from previous Pokemon games. Like things that weren't good in things they didn't have in Sword and Shield, they now have in this, but they've taken away a lot of the good things from Sword and Shield and not put them back in this, and like, you know, vice versa. It's just so annoying. Like they have all these systems in place that are like the best of the things that people love about the games, but they just sort of like split them in half and go, right, we'll save that for another game. It's like, why? Put them all in the same one. I don't understand.
I was listening to a podcast, Two Bears, One Cave, but
sure,
and
Tom.
Yeah.
Didn't they just have
second name?
Who did they have on?
Quentin.
Yeah, Quentin. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to that yesterday, and obviously Quentin was blessing us with his cinema knowledge.
Yeah.
And talking about the 70s, the 80s, and 90s. So apparently, like the 70s was amazing, the 80s was not great, and then the 90s comes back and it's great, right? And I'm on the spot. I'm sort of thinking about that in terms of gaming now, right? Because gaming is a very young industry, although not
incredibly
that young anymore.
To be honest, it is
like still pretty young.
It's like what? I mean, 30 years.
40 years.
Like I'm talking about like modern
80s?
Gaming.
Oh,
like if
sure.
let's say like from the beginning of the PS1.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's modern gaming.
25.
So from like the 90s, basically. So we're talking like 30 years, right? 35 years.
So I'm wondering now whether now might be a type of 80s era, let's say, as comparison.
We're in an off decade, do you mean?
I mean,
that's not
it's
good.
starting to
To
feel
be honest,
like that,
I don't think it exists in Get the Gaming world. I don't think there's necessarily an off decade. I don't think it really exists.
Well, what I think a lot of it is personal preference. It feels like an off era because the more and more often the AAA games we discuss are like, it's more often that they're disappointing, frankly. And I'll use some recent examples. I think the fact that Stray stood out as an example of how desperate we are for decent games. I think an example of Gotham Knights. I think an example of Warzone 2.0. I think an example of Overwatch 2. I think an example of Pokemon. I think like
basically all the games I've played.
Goes on.
To be honest, I'm not like I think the reason you're thinking this is because we've had it so good in the recent. Me and you specifically in the last 3 years have played probably some of the best possible games for us ever.
Sure.
Final Fantasy games,
Last
primarily
2, yeah.
Last of Us, like Horizon, like all these games were like top of their game, the best possible version of what existed around that time. Because we've had it so good for so long, we're now like, this is lightning in a bottle, and we're expecting to have it every time, and we can't expect that. So we're going to be constantly disappointed. You're thinking it's a bad time, but really, this is probably someone else's best time, because they haven't had it as good as Final Fantasy and all these AAA amazing ones from out, like Elden Ring, like all these. And people that haven't had those experiences yet. So to them, it's the best because they've never had it better.
I get your point, Jay, but my counter to that would be, let's look at when we were growing up, and let's look at a couple of different occasions. Please. Let's look at the PS2, no, you know what? Fuck that. Let's look at the original Xbox and the lineup of games that had in the few years that me and you had it. We're talking Fable. We're talking Riddick. We're talking loads of other shit.
Halo.
And like loads of other shit. Halo 1 and 2. Just to name a few.
Blinks.
Blinks. Thank you.
Time splitters.
And then time splitters. And then let's look at another era. Let's look at early 360. And like me and you probably, I mean, you had a 360 early on, right?
Final
Even
Fantasy
stuff
13.
like Phantasy Star. Final Fantasy 13.
Phantasy Star Universe, yeah.
Mass Effect, Bioshock.
Yeah, Mass Effect, Bioshock.
The list goes on.
Dragon Age.
Limbo. Fucking, like, the list goes on.
Fable 2.
So I'm not saying that, look, am I saying this era or this period is necessarily the worst ever? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not. Especially not stuff like Ragnarok and Elden Ring coming out.
Yeah.
But if I'm comparing it to other great few periods that we've had, even PS2, for instance, I think it is lacking. I do. I think it's lacking as much as the sort of first few years of the Xbox One, and I'd say Xbox One specifically, obviously, because PlayStation early on had amazing exclusives.
Well, honestly, I think I'm the complete opposite. I don't think it's the best. This is the thing. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just think it's different. And I don't really know how to like go over that necessarily. I think the beginning of Xbox One era probably is the worst in gaming, if you ask me. Like those first 2 years of Xbox One were abysmal.
Sure.
They were. God, there was just nothing. I think that was like PlayStation 4's like height. One of the heights. Like everything was coming out on PlayStation 4, but nothing was coming out on Xbox. And we were just ramping up on PS4, which is the reason why I barely played Xbox, to be honest. And
it's probably why I played Titanfall 1 for like 2 years straight.
Yeah, there's nothing out. I honestly think right now is almost like the calm before the storm. I think is probably a good way to put it. Thing is, you can't expect to have greatness all the time. Like it's a one in a lifetime thing.
You say that, Jay, but we had loads of periods where there was great games
a one in a decade or one in 5 years. I don't know.
But like,
I think you expect. To me, it just sounds like you're expecting too much. You're just expecting greatness every time, and you can't.
I'm not expecting greatness. I'm really not. But what I am expecting is the game not to be that disappointing.
Well, it's going to happen. Like people are getting lazy.
Overwatch 2, like issues. Gotham Knights. Issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of time they get fixed. It just takes a little bit. It just takes a bit of time. You gotta be patient.
But like before, we didn't even have to.
I know it's the standard has dropped. I will say. I think a lot of it is just because it's sort of that we're still in the first 2 years. I think the first 2 years of a new generation is the worst 2 years of any generation ever, depending on which generation you look at.
No, I hear what you're saying.
But I still think we've got so like I think 2023. It's going to be a pretty good year. Like we've got Spider-Man 2, potentially. We've got Hogwarts Legacy. We've got Dead Island 2. We've got Starfield. We've got
Redfall, if you want to.
Redfall, I guess. Yeah.
Shout that out.
What else was there? There was something pretty big.
We have got a few.
It was now. Yeah, there's going to be some good. Oh, Final Fantasy 16.
Right.
I don't think Rebirth is coming out potentially until 2024. Hard to say.
Yeah,
16 is pretty much there, by the way. They're just fixing bugs.
Oh, getting excited.
That'll be out in summer of next year.
Getting excited.
Yeah, that one I'm really looking forward to.
I get you, dude. It just feels like every time I have a conversation with you,
we talk about this too much.
Ellen is bros. It is though. Fucking like, every time. Yeah.
It's one of those things, you know. We just like
every time a new game comes out, it's like, oh yeah, but
could have been better. Yeah, it's tough, man. We've had it too good these last couple of years. We really have, and something has changed in the industry. I think a lot of it is like they're trying to do as little as they possibly can with the least amount of money, and that's making terrible games. They're not throwing stuff at the wall anymore. They're just sort of like they're going a bit. It almost feels like people are playing it too safe. I guess you could say. They're either playing it too safe or they're going too ambitious, and it's not working. And the industry's just trying to figure out what works. Because the film industry's got it pretty good in that they just make sequels to shit, and that brings the quality down. So they're doing terribly. And it feels like the game industry is probably going on a similar route where they're just trying to make the same shit, and it's not, and it's just bringing the quality down. What was the last high quality game we had? Horizon was up there. Ragnarok, I guess you could say, is up there. Elden Ring is definitely up there. Like to me, these are high quality games. Like games that
Sure.
have had love put into them. Where I think most games nowadays, we don't feel the love. It just feels like a business transaction, more of and less of a let's make our audience happy type of transaction.
Yeah, I get that. I will stop moaning about it now, but that's just how.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, let's put on spoiler mode.
Sure.
For Pokemon.
It's gonna be fairly brief.
Sure. Tell me.
I don't want to say too much. I mean, you really don't care.
No, I don't.
Okay, end of the game. It's actually kind of wacky. It's probably one of the best endings of a Pokemon game I've had in a while. Turns out the professor is dead.
Oh shit! So they're not the bad guy. Oh shit!
No, they are the bad guy. They're dead.
Oh.
They left a robot version of themselves behind to, if anything happened, just in case anything happened. So you've been talking to a robot and an AI this entire time. The professor is also a parent of one of the companions of your game, so that your companion of your game finds out that their parents are dead, which is kind of sad. And there's also this wormhole time machine that you have to shut down, because if you don't, the Pokemon that are coming through the wormhole are going to just destroy the region you're in. So you kind of just have to shut down the time machine, and to do that you have to defeat the robot, the evil AI robot of the professor. And it's all very the graphics of it are definitely the best. I know you say they're terrible, but fuck me, the ending of that game is good looking. It's kind of insane that the game didn't blow up. I was like, oh shit, the amount of stuff on screen right now is insane. Probably one of the best boss endings we've ever had. I think other than Black and White, which I think is renowned as the best Pokemon game ever, depending on who you talk to.
So the theory that they're bad was correct then?
Oh yeah, they were evil. Well, the robot version was evil, but the initial actual professor was probably lovely.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the robot.
But they died. There was some sort of I think they got killed off by an evil Pokemon, or a Pokemon that was just
Oh man.
It was really sad. It's kind of awful because you don't see the body or anything, but you kind of see the aftermath of what happened. And apparently it happened years and years ago. It's just nobody knew about it. Because it all happens in this secret crater in the middle of the map. It's a crater that nobody can go into. It's this
right
zone that teachers say don't go into. It's almost like the Forbidden Forest in Harry Potter, that kind of thing. It's just full of bad, evil things. So you end up going there at the end of the game and finding out that the professor's dead, and you've got to defeat the evil AI to save the world.
That's cool. That sounds like a nice.
Oh, and also
cool
the main
twist.
premise of the game is that you're a student in school, so you can actually take classes as well, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, you get rewarded for it, but a lot of it is more just to do with that's okay. The other aspect of the game is also it's very Persona-y or very Dragon Age-y, where you kind of have to have relationships with teachers and students to be able to do certain things. So I think they're actually going to build on that for the next gen. I have a feeling they're going to make that more of a mechanic. It's quite a cool mechanic actually, because it makes you care more about the characters in the game.
Sure.
If you actually have to build a relationship with them.
So were you surprised by the ending of the story, or did you see it coming, sort of thing?
No, I mean, people online have been speculating about it for the last year, so there were so many theories thrown around that they pretty much got the right idea.
Okay, fair play.
People thought actually that the I guess headmaster of the school was evil in some way, but actually he was the comic relief, weirdly, which was strange. Everyone thought he was evil,
just
but
he looks evil.
Yeah, he kind of has a certain look about him that looked a bit like the evil person who was in the last gen.
Okay.
So everyone thought he must be the evil one, but nope, he was actually the comic relief the entire time. He was very wacky and goofy. It's kind of funny actually.
That is kind of funny.
Yeah, I will say they use a lot of young slang in this game, a cringy level of slang.
Like English slang,
yes,
or American, or
English, American, just online slang. A cringy level amount. They used the word chuggy and fleek, and I was like, oh, I know. Pokemon is very, very modern now. It's kind of weird how modern it's gone. They genuinely use language that made me go, hang on, these are just old people trying to emulate younger people. It was so funny. It was funny more than anything else. But it was kind of cringy.
Jesus Christ.
It was good though. It was overall great experience, and I'm going to continue playing it for the next 3 years. I'm going to have to, aren't I? Because nothing else coming out. Although people are speculating that there's going to be a an Arceus, a new Arceus Legends style game, and then also like a remake of Silver and Gold, hopefully as well. Those games we had a remake already, but we need another one because the remakes were the first ever remakes of a Pokemon game. So the level of those games are sort of like only as good as like old Pokemon games. They're like old Pokemon games now. They're considered old.
I understand. Will they not remake Black and White at this point?
Yeah, so people are thinking that they're going to potentially redo either Silver or Gold, or somehow do a Black and White remake or something like that.
Would they do Black and White 1 and 2 in the same?
I'd say the two most popular games, Pokemon, in terms of like the zeitgeist of Pokemon, is Silver and Gold, and then Black and White. I'd say that they're the two I'd say they're probably the games with the best story and also most fun. I'd say.
Okay.
I'm hoping they do Silver and Gold because I never actually got to play it all the way through. It's the one Pokemon game I've never played all the way through.
Sure.
So.
Alright, boss man. Spoiler mode off.
Yeah.
If we're going to close the chapter on that. Now, let's stay on the same screen, Jay, because I don't want the CPU to blow up.
Okay.
Before we do the news, Jay, 2 things. 1, have you played this Gungrave Gore game?
I have it downloaded, yeah.
And you played Moonscars. Is that any good?
I have played that. It's actually pretty decent, yeah. It's a sort of Metroidvania Souls-like. Pretty fun.
You tried Code Vein as well?
Yeah, I've got Code Vein, yeah.
Okay, cool. Alright, yeah, right. Before we go there, J-Balls, I'm going to introduce something.
Okay.
And we're going to do something that we have done before. So, here we go.
Wow.
In Avengers Infinity War, what does Spider-Man say when he introduces himself as Peter and Doctor Strange introduces himself as Doctor Strange? I'm almost tempted not to give you the options because I think you should know this off by heart, but alas.
Yeah, I feel like I do.
You do. I'll give you 2 options. B. Oh, we're using our made-up names. Or D. Haha, that's strange.
Made-up names.
Yeah, it's made-up names.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember that. That is funny. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we're using our made-up names. Do you know the first game on your achievement list?
Yeah.
Go on.
Pit My Ride.
No.
Well, it should be. It's either Pit My Ride or Cameo, probably something like that.
Do you know what then? Maybe it's because the Xbox doesn't read the games that aren't backwards compatible. Maybe that's the thing.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? No.
I think Pit My Ride was actually the first game. Cameo and Pit My Ride were the first games I had on 360. And then shortly after that, it would have been probably like Dragon Age or something. I don't know.
No, you're right. I think it's only backwards compatible games because I know there's a couple of games on here that you definitely played early on that aren't on here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Phantasy Star.
Yeah. Phantasy Star would. 100%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Was The Godfather 2 good? Because I always like the look of that game.
Did I play that?
Yeah. Fucking got 15 achievements on it, boss.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't even seen the movies. I haven't got a clue.
Right, okay. Here's what I want to introduce, Jay. I fancy doing a new little game of ours.
Okay.
I haven't got a name for it.
Okay, I like this.
Let me see if I can think of a name. We'll think of a name later. Basically, I'm just going to scroll through your achievement list, and I wanted to give you the story of the specific game that you've played in the past.
Okay.
So, it doesn't matter how long or short it is. I just wanted to be like, oh yeah, I played that one afternoon, hated it, or yeah, I remember that game really well, loved it. Literally anything you've got, I want to hear it.
Okay.
Legendary on 360.
Oh, that was a good game. Legendary's great.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, it's weird. Wow, Legendary. I remember it being difficult, and it definitely doesn't hold up very well. I remember trying to play it on hard and again getting stuck, and then I think I just stopped playing it. I actually remember exactly where I stopped playing it. There's a bit where you have to kind of climb up this building, and there's like this eagle that keeps coming after you, and I just couldn't get past it, I don't think.
And this is the one where it's a first-person shooter with loads of dinosaurs coming into the city, is that right?
Yeah. Wow, that's a bloody old thing right there. Yeah.
And did you? I mean, Jay, you were going for the collectibles as well. It looks like.
Yeah, probably.
Apparently, you
I was not
completed
a
it
very
on
good
easy.
gamer back there. Yeah, I remember. I think I played it through it. I think to be able to unlock hard, you had to play through it once and then play through it again.
Oh, that's horrible.
Potentially, I could
Right.
be wrong.
Okay.
But...
And then also, it looks as though you got quite a few Chivos. Like you got a few like mission specific ones, like causing Crane to drop on the metal beans in episode 7
Yeah,
and all
I
this
remember
kind of
that.
stuff as well.
I remember that. Yeah, sure.
Defeat the Griffin in episode 5.
Yeah, that was
apparently.
it, right? You had to defeat the Griffin, but I think I tried it on hard and I just couldn't get past it or something like that.
Right. Okay. By the way, 50% of gamers had done that. So whoever played this game played through it quite a lot of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Interesting. Do you remember do you remember it being good at the time?
I mean, probably to me, maybe, but I mean, it's kind of like tough to like think about stuff back then, just because it just sort of feels a bit like I hadn't really come into my own in terms of like I didn't really know who I was or what I liked or anything. I was just sort of like a kid going through the motions.
This game looks okay. I'll just
like I feel like I didn't know what I liked until about 5 years ago. When it came to games, like when it came to music, I understood what I knew when I was like 10. But for some reason, games didn't really click for a long time.
Dude, we used to just play like shit games.
Yeah, if I'd seen Legendary now and it looked a more modern version, I'd be like, I would never play that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, totally.
I just wouldn't touch it. It would be one of those games where I'm like, it's probably going to come to Game Pass, I reckon, but I wouldn't touch it.
But maybe part of that is one, like you have less time now, and two, maybe there was just less games, so you just wanted something to play.
Yeah, a lot of it was just the fact that there was less, so you kind of just had to play what was about, I guess. I don't know.
Totally. I'm gonna try something now. I'm gonna look on your 360 achievements using the backwards compatibility on my Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Dude, you have 39,000 game score on Xbox One games and Xbox Series X. I have 136.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you could check that. That's pretty cool.
You can. If you just go on any backwards compatible game, you can just look at all the different, fucking... You're right, Jay. You are right. Oh, see, I can't see what your first game was because I'm comparing... Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can find the first game.
I think I genuinely only have about one.
You're right.
I have one achievement on it, I think.
I take it back. Pimp My Ride. Yeah. Right there.
I love that show. I was obsessed with that show. I think I've genuinely seen every single episode.
Dude,
I love that show.
The game on Xbox One that showed up was Dash of Destruction. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we get 1,000 on that?
200 max is the max you can get.
Oh, 200. Okay, yeah. Because arcade games back in the day only had 200G. Yeah.
Correct. Dude, you... Oh, bro, we could do this all day.
That was a Doritos thing, right?
You what, sorry?
It had a partnership with Doritos, that Dash and Destruction, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was like a Doritos game. Yeah, it was like a Doritos sponsored game where you played like a dinosaur, I think, right? Yeah. You like walked around a city and like
a T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus, like a T-Rex, yeah.
Sure.
What the kids say, a T-Rex, yeah. All right, moving on, Jay. I'm quite excited for this. So look, basically, guys, I don't give a shit about awards, okay? But Jay does.
To a degree.
So I do.
I just think it's fun to speculate.
And I'm with you, Jay. I'm saying I'm happy to do it for you. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
So let's go through the Game Award nominations.
Yeah, you can.
Why not? Right.
You can skip past the esports ones because they're not even worth my time.
Okay, not a problem. Jay, do you mind if I read them, or would you like to?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can get them up.
Okay, guys, I'm not gonna read the summary for each award because, like, just go look it up. Like, come on, you know what me and Jay want. We just want to see what's going on, what the games are, right? Already, this is gonna be fucking hilarious. Right, Game of the Year, people. We have. I haven't played it yet, by the way. A Plague Tale Requiem. Can't wait to play it.
Looks good.
There was so glad it's
same
on this
issue
list.
with that with Gotham Knights, didn't it? Didn't it say it was going to do 60, but it was only in 30 or something?
I think you're right, Jay.
Yeah, there was a similar issue with that. Yeah.
at this point, I might as well wait for a patch on that bad boy.
Yeah, potentially.
So
give it a little time.
Elden Ring, not surprised about that.
That's
God of War, Ragnarok.
On the official website, you can obviously vote because it is like a thing. I don't know if I'm guessing you haven't done yours yet, or you're not planning on doing it.
I didn't know the public could.
Yeah, public votes every year. Yeah. So if you go on the website and log in, make an
mate.
account, you can then vote for each one if you want to. My pick for Game of the Year was definitely Elden Ring. Well, there's like a split thing, right, where critics all vote, and then you have a public vote that does a certain percentage towards the final amount.
And you've done yours, haven't you?
I've done all mine. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay, God of War Ragnarok, not surprised by that. Obviously, none of us have played it yet. By the way, just quickly on that, ladies and gentlemen, we have plans in the works, so watch this space, as my account director at work would say. Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay, I need to say something about this.
Please.
I will be getting that game.
Yeah.
Because Horizon had a good effect on me, and it's a great game. It is an amazing game.
Yes, Jay.
It is.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Well, no, I always knew it was going to be a good game. I just never got around to bloody playing it. It took me forever to get there. Much like Final Fantasy, it took me bloody years to get there, but
I'm just glad you got there, Jay.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good. I think a lot of it is mechanic based. The story is pretty good too. I kind of want to see where the story goes.
Good man.
But yes, I will be getting that, and obviously by the time I play it, there'll be loads of guides and achievement guides, and I'll be able to know what the collectibles are, and I won't have to bloody do it all myself and all this kind of stuff, you know. So.
Do you know what the irony is, Jay? I reckon you'll play that before I will.
Probably, yeah.
But
it's not on my priority list, but it's definitely up there.
I've got it on my wish list, so I'm sure we'll do a special on it once we both get through that.
Yeah.
We've got Stray. Quite a bit of a surprise there. I'm not sure it's Game of the Year.
A little bit of a surprise. But... Yeah. I mean, I think that's again a part of that is just virality, isn't it? So.
Sure. Like, let's have a think about this, Jay. Are you really telling me that there isn't a game better than Stray that you could have put on this list? Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to think. Tunic. How is Tunic not on this list?
It's not anywhere on this list. I'm pretty sure.
Shambles.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to have a look from what the yearly releases were, but
let's have a look at this.
Yeah, Stray I think is on there just for just to
appease the masses.
Appease certain amount of masses, yeah. To be honest, I'm not even sure why Plague Tale is on there, to be honest.
Whoa, Jay.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's just everything other than Elden Ring, God of War, and Horizon is just filler. It's there just to be competitors.
There, bro.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's more of a it's obvious one of those three is going to take it, you know.
Oh, I reckon Plague Tale might get more votes than Horizon.
I'd be surprised. I don't think they ever give that information, but I'd be surprised.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they do. Last up on this list, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is funny as hell.
Well, I think it's because that game was so long awaited. There's a very, very small amount of people niche amount of people who wanted that game, but they're a very loud minority. Like they're very sort of they put their voice out there, so they're a very dedicated fan base. So don't blame them for that.
Best game direction.
Yeah, this is weird. So awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. So you got to think about what of these games innovated the most. To me, that's what it means, right? It's like the level of where it's taking gaming.
I mean,
because I feel like they're all about the same.
I was gonna say, I mean, are any of them
Horizon,
truly innovating?
Much the same as the last one, I imagine. God of War,
let's go through the list,
Jay.
Let's go through the list. Elden Ring, the same as
pretty much, yeah. It did something different in that it made it open world. It's the first Souls game was open world.
Yeah.
What else did they change?
You could jump and you had a mount.
You could jump. You had a mount. Yeah, that's probably about it.
God of War Ragnarok, as far as we're aware, is very much a sequel to God of War.
Yeah, it's basically the same. It's just ending the story as much as it possibly could.
Horizon Forbidden West. I can't really comment on that.
Can't comment too much, but again, I imagine it's much the same. I think it is just a much better. What I've seen of the game, by the way, graphically, it's probably some of the best water graphics that have ever existed in a game.
Yes.
No joke. I've seen honestly the water in that game. I was like, oh god, if this is where we're going, this is a good place to be going. Totally. I can't wait to jump in that water, dude. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
A game called Immortality.
I've heard a lot about this game, but I don't really understand it. I haven't looked into it enough to know what it really is. I've seen it around. Apparently, it's fairly innovative, so that's partly why it's on there.
Okay,
and then Stray, which I haven't really seen many games like it before. I think there probably are games that are like it, but not to this degree, you know.
Sure.
I don't really see any sort of. I think when I look at this list, I think, well, which of these games to me can almost become like, can a developer take a piece of this game and I'll put that in my game and it'll be better for it, you know?
Jay, I'm going to be honest with you. Tunic should, I'm not joking, should be in that fucking list. There is a lot of things that game does that is new and different.
Okay.
I'll tell you one, okay? There's an in-game game guide booklet.
Oh, okay.
And you have to read it and it will tell you things, but it's in a different language. Some of it.
Interesting.
So yeah, that is literally an innovative feature.
Yeah, that is an innovative feature. Cool. I give you that. Well, I feel like I have seen that in something before. I don't know what.
I'm sure it's out there, but it felt very innovative at the time.
Okay.
Best
narrative. The thing about innovation, like it's basically just what can we? Because there's no such thing necessarily. Like it's basically taking like any amount of new content is basically how can I take something that's already been done, and make it either my own or different.
Yeah.
Like it's like totally. Innovation is almost like inspiration, and the inspiration is basically just how can I take what I love about something and make it either my own or my own version or just a tweaked version of it without it being the exact same thing.
Yeah, totally.
Because there's a very fine line between plagiarism and inspiration, and I hate the fact there's even a line. It bugs me. That's one of the things that bugs me about like when someone goes, "Oh, it's just basically the same as this." I'm like, well, maybe that person actually cared about making it different in their own way, you know. Like, give them their space for it, you know? I hate when people say that. It really bugs me.
Best narrative.
Yeah.
A Plague Tale Requiem. Groovy. Elden Ring. Not sure about that one.
Well, I can definitely get my case on that. Do you know who wrote the story of this game? Or who had a hand in it?
George R.R. Martin.
Certainly did. I'd say Elden Ring is probably one of the best Souls stories that is out there.
Is it more? Is there like cutscenes and shit? Like, is it actually told to you, or?
That's the thing about Elden Ring. Elden Ring's story, you kind of have to almost read between the lines a lot of the time, or you have to watch. There's a guy on YouTube called Vidia or something. I can't remember his name, but he's basically the guy who knows.
Yeah.
He's the guy who knows all the history and all the lore of Souls games. A lot of the story is told through items that you find in the game, so that's like a level of innovation too. And it's been done for years. But
I hear what you're saying, and that's what the Souls formula. But that is not outstanding storytelling. It's not. They fucking did that in Dark Souls 1.
Well, just because it's been done before doesn't make it less outstanding.
I think it does, frankly.
No, I think that
that's exactly what I'm saying.
It's kind of hard to explain. Like there definitely is a story in Elden Ring, but I think a lot of the reason why it's loved so much is because of the way they go about it and also the mystery behind it. Like a lot of it is sort of like to interpretation, or a lot of it is also based on like mythos of like either like previous gods and stuff. Like a lot of it is based on like stars in the sky or like history of the earth. Like it's just all based off of so many things. You kind of have to almost be a historian to sort of know.
Well, this is my other point, Jay. I get there's a story there, but we're not talking about a story that's told by an amazing YouTuber. We're talking about the story in the fucking game.
Well, no, he's just sort of
YouTube channel to get the full deets. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think more than anything, you just need to be able to like. It's definitely not a game for anyone who isn't an intellectual, I guess, or like someone who can like has a really good brain. Like there's I guess there's two types of people. There's people who can understand it by just playing it, and people who have to have it explained to them, and then they can love it from that. Like to me, it's actually better that way because, okay, this might get a bit meta, but this is gonna sound very strange, but cavemen, our ancestors, would have told stories through multiple mediums, One of those mediums being just sounds they made. Those sounds later turning into language that we use currently, and then also art pieces on cave walls, and then also music. And I feel like Elden Ring's way of telling that story is through all of those mediums. Like they use the music in game to tell certain stories. They use art pieces and like things that you find in the game to tell the story. Like, there's literally like things on walls, or like things that have been left after you kill a certain boss of like items and stuff that you have to figure out the story from that. And then also things that are actually told to you from the dialogue in the game. And then technically there's also things in the sky that can tell you stories as well. So if anything, they're using the same methods that have been used since the beginning of time. And to me, that is fairly special. I think it's special more than anything else.
That is a fantastic argument. And there's nothing else I think
I think that they're using the tools that our ancestors gave us, and they're doing it in a very special way. And to me, that is the height of storytelling, because it is the original way of storytelling through every medium possible that we could understand at the time, and the evolution of it since. Thing is that you could have the same argument with any of these games. All these games use those mediums, just how they use them is.
Well, I would say the other ones are more modern, right?
Yeah,
I think God of War Ragnarok is more direct. It's
more direct, more easy. Like
it's more acting. Yeah, it's more accessible.
Thing is, you could say the same thing about like interpretive dance, right? About even like ballet.
Yeah,
it's a way of storytelling. Just because it's not easy to follow doesn't make it any less amazing.
True. Yeah. Speaking of which, God of War Ragnarok's on the list. Horizon Forbidden West on the list.
Yeah, and then Immortality again. I think again, Immortality is one of these ones that is like one of these sleeper games that unless you've played it, you don't really understand why it's in here. I'm sure it's got a reason to be there. I'm sure.
Best art director. Jay, I'm seeing a
bit
what's
funny
of
about this? You're going to be surprised at what my pick was for this.
Okay.
What do you think it was?
Well, I thought it was Scorn, but I assume you picked Elden Ring.
No, I picked Scorn for this one.
Oh, I'm not surprised by that.
I think Scorn did a very, very good job in terms of visuals on screen and how the art of everything sort of like. I think it was just very like. It's almost like it is much like an art piece in that it kind of just like it broke the mold in a certain way, or it made you question certain things about how certain games are supposed to look, I guess. But I think out of these games, all the other games, Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon, Scorn, and Stray, like every other game other than Scorn, is just something we've kind of seen to a degree enough times before. Whereas I feel like Scorn did something different to a degree. Like I know there was that like Hell game that came out, or like was it?
The really bad one on Steam.
Yeah, that one was fairly similar.
Totally. Yeah.
And this one definitely has like a very like early PC kind of game aspect of art to it. But I think I don't know. There's something about it. It just seemed like the animation, the way things were. Just I think Elden Ring doesn't really necessarily deserve it, just because I feel like the artwork of it is very sort of used. I guess like a lot of it is just sort of like done before, but not really. Like there's obviously a lot different, and but it just doesn't feel as I guess if they're going for outstanding creative or technical achievement, I think technically Horizon would win it. I think design-wise, probably Ragnarok. But I mean, I think you can make an argument for those three. I think that Elden Ring and Stray not so much. I think the three in the middle have an argument. But any of those three could win it, and I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's probably going to be Horizon or Ragnarok.
And I am seeing it quite a repetitive few games on these lists, but alas. So we've got Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok. This is for best art direction. Horizon Forbidden West, Scorn, and Stray. I think Stray, the cyberpunk elements is quite cool. Again, I'm not sure if it's that outstanding, but alas. Best score / music. Well, we know the answer to this, Jay. Persona 5. Moving on. No, joking.
Honestly, I don't really know this one. I know that Elden Ring is amazing.
We have A Plague Tale, Requiem. We have Elden Ring. We have God of War Ragnarok. We have Metal Hellsinger. And we have Yasunori Mitsuda for No Game at All. I'm
honestly not sure why.
All I can say on Plague Tale, Jay, is that the first game score was great. But what were you going to say about this category?
This is a tough one because I feel like I haven't. Again, Ragnarok I know is going to have amazing music in it because it always does. I think any of these games could do it, or any of these people could do it, and it'd be fine.
Totally.
They're all deserving, to be honest.
Oh, Yatsunori Mitsuda, I believe, is for Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
That makes sense.
I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
So don't know if that was a bit of a. We're reading this off the IGN website. Best audio design, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, and Shock Horror for Horizon Forbidden West.
I actually think it could be any of them other than Call of Duty.
Bro, I completely disagree. Call of Duty is getting this one in the bag.
Yeah, Call of Duty definitely does make a good argument. But I know Gran Turismo always, like the racing games always try to innovate as much as they can on their audio design every year. I guess in that case, then maybe it is between Call of Duty and Gran Turismo. I feel like the other three maybe don't have it as much.
The reason I say that is because the last Infinity Ward game, Modern Warfare 1, the reboot, apparently the sound design was incredible. So
I watched a mini documentary on it. I remember they went hard on that. I remember. Yeah.
Next up, Jay, best performance. This is very, very exciting.
I'm actually kind of pissed off about this because actually no, that's fine. That was fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the person who won this for the last time was the actress who played Lady Dimitrescu in Resident Evil. And I was thinking, where's she? But she won it the last time, so it's fine.
So we have Ashley Birch, Horizon Forbidden West, which is great. Love Aloy. We have Charlotte McBurney in Playtale Requiem, who I assume plays...
main character.
I've forgotten her name. Oh, God. Embarrassing. It's... Nope, you have to come back to me. I'm blanking, guys. Christopher Judge, God of War Ragnarok, who plays the Kratos. Fantastic. Man Engage.
I was going to say, he's there. It's fine. Yeah, continue.
Man Engage for Immortality and Sunny Solyik. Is that right?
Solyik, one of those.
Solyik. God of War Ragnarok, who also plays Atreus.
Boy. I think I actually voted for Boy.
Look, bro, you haven't played the game.
Well, I played the first one. He did pretty well, so I imagine he probably did similar. Although I do know they had to change his voice in this game, didn't they?
What, because he was getting older?
Yeah, his voice broke. Like, halfway through recording. So they had to digitally make his voice younger.
Oh, wow.
He sounds like a man now. He sounds like proper,
deeper,
deep voice now. So I don't know what they're going to do. If they could, they probably won't do another one.
Games for Impact. A Memoir Blue, As Dusk Falls, Citizen Sleeper, Endling, Extinction is Forever, Hindsight, and I Was a Teenager Exocolonist.
This might be the funniest of the newer added categories, because it's basically which of these games were the most it says here pro social meaning or message, basically left wing or woke, I guess. Which one had the most progressive story in it, essentially?
Well, not to get too on the board.
I'm surprised that As Dusk Falls is in there, but it doesn't make because I had a feeling that game wouldn't go too far with it. But I guess I'm not thinking that they're all like that. I'm thinking more that which of these stories had the best moral message in it.
Sure. I think it's a weird category, and I get where you're coming from. I don't think it's necessarily that which one of them has the best left-wing ideology.
Yeah,
but
no,
I get what you're saying.
Think that. Yeah, I definitely think it's an aspect of it. Because a lot of the times, things that are made today have a moral message in them that are, be left. But a lot of the time, they just are be a better person,
Sure. Well, without going into detail on what I've been playing and finished, I think As Dusk Falls should take that.
Yeah, I know you've played that, but I honestly can't speak on hardly any of that, so I don't know.
Best I don't care about ongoing game. Would you like me to read
out? I've voted for Final Fantasy 14 on this one.
Okay, cool.
Just because I know the community around it are amazing, so
cool.
That's what I'm going for.
Not Genshin?
Oh, Tunic is on here.
Fuck yes!
I didn't think it was.
Bring it home, boys.
Best indie game and best debut indie game.
Best indie game: Cult of the Lamb, Neon White,
pretty good,
Sifu,
pretty good,
which is cool. Stray, cool. Tunic, fuck yeah.
Honestly, I think I voted Neon White, just because I know the team behind it, did a whole thing.
Jay,
but
I told you how much I like Tunic. Would
I
you
honestly
not even
forgot about it.
incorporate that?
I honestly forgot about it. Again, I couldn't really call too much. I couldn't really say too much about this. I know the Cotton Lamb's pretty great. Sifu's pretty great. I mean, they're all honestly, any of these games could win it, and I'd be like, great. Actually, I think probably the most least deserving is probably Neon White, to be honest. But we'll see.
Best debut indie game. Neon
So
White.
this is
Norco.
tough because.
Hold on.
Yeah, go on.
Norco, Stray, Tunic, Vampire Survivors.
So
go on.
Vampire Survivors is more of a viral thing that has been going on for the last.
I've
weirdly,
heard about this.
It only just came out on Game Pass, but it's actually been out on PC for the last year and a half. It's been out a long time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It just came out on Game Pass. You'd hate it. Trust me, you'd hate it. I guess Tunic should win this. Tunic should definitely win this.
Yeah, I can't say enough praise about that. Tunic, come on, please, guys, do yourself a favour, vote for the right game.
This next category is funny because we know who's going to win it, and the person who's going to win it should win it because the rest of the games are all terrible in comparison.
Best mobile game, dare I say it? Marvel Snap is the one you're going for, Jay?
No, I've been playing it, but it's not as good as Genshin. Genshin will always win this category every time.
Genshin!
Tower of Fantasy is basically a Genshin clone. It's fine, but it's not great. Diablo Immortal was awful because it's pay to win. Apex Legends is just Apex Legends, so it's whatever. It shouldn't win anything necessarily. So yeah, Genshin should win that just because of how big it is, really.
Best community support. Do you care about this category?
Final Fantasy 14 again, yeah.
Lovely.
It's probably Final Fantasy 14 Online probably has the best community of any online game currently out.
Cool.
And I'd die on that hill.
Best VR AR game. I will read these out. Oh, do you not care, Jay?
I mean, I don't really know. The only one on there I know, I think, is After the Fall and Among Us. And Among Us literally came out a month ago, if that.
Yeah, I mean,
so
VR's not what it was.
It's whatever. Yeah. This next one's
innovation.
Awesome.
Innovation and accessibility. Loving this.
Yeah.
We've got As Dusk Falls, God of War Ragnarok, which is cool. Returnal. Return to Monkey Island. The Last was Part 1. What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah,
well, to be fair, accessibility for
they added a bunch of stuff to it, didn't they? Yeah.
And The Quarry. Very cool. Jay, thoughts?
This, I honestly, any of these could take it just for the fact they probably every single one of these games have probably got the same amount of level of accessibility options because there's only so much you can do, to be honest. So the fact that it's now pretty much the standard to have accessibility options is great though, because it helps people even who aren't disabled. You know. There's certain things that are just sort of for easier play that even I use. So
yeah,
it's great. Yeah, a lot of people when this first came out, people were like, "Oh, this is basically game journalist mode, right?" But I think the bigger picture is basically the people who find it hard to play games because they're have some level of disability. So it's great. It's a good thing. Yeah, any of those could win it.
These next categories I do struggle a bit with, just because things like best action game, it isn't every game a fucking action game. But anyway, focus on I mean, every game's
this is difficult. Anyway. Yeah, it's very difficult.
Right, we've got Bayonetta 3, COD Modern Warfare 2, Neon White, Sifu, and TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which is cool.
I think this is a toss-up between Bayonetta and Sifu, if I'm honest.
I would like COD to win it. I think that's a fair Renaissance story. I do.
Yeah, I'd say top 3 out of those is probably Sifu, Bayonetta, and Call of Duty. Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right. Best action adventure game, because puzzle solving's important apparently.
Yeah, so this is basically the same as before, but now mixed with traversal and puzzle solving.
A Plague Tale Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Tunic.
Honestly, any of them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that. I think Stray is probably the least favourable there.
I think Tunic, because of the way the camera moves, I think would definitely, for me, it definitely has more puzzle elements there. But best RPG, Elden Ring, Live Alive, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy. Fucking hell, that name. And Xenoblade Chronicles.
It's going to be Elden Ring. Arceus is definitely up there, though. It's pretty good. I know Arceus actually won. I think it won Best Nintendo Game of this year. The Golden Game Awards, or whatever it's called.
Oh, Golden Joysticks?
Yeah, Golden Joysticks just finished. I know Elden Ring won Game of the Year on that. Actually, Elden Ring won 4 awards. They won Best Score, Game of the Year, and a bunch of other stuff like Best Narrative and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So whether there's, I feel like the joystick ones are sort of more like your critic level of award, whereas Game Awards is more like your audience level of Game Awards.
Sure.
Bit more easy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Best fighting game: DNF Duel, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure,
Nope.
All Star Battle R, The King of Fighters 15, Multiverses, and Sifu. Sifu's got to take this, surely.
Well, there's a bit of an argument at the minute that Sifu isn't a fighting game.
Oh, okay.
Because technically it isn't.
Go on.
I think there's a bit of a debate around this, and that all of these games are fighting games other than Sifu. Sifu isn't necessarily a fighting game; it's more of an action game. Like a fighting game consists of certain elements that just aren't in Sifu. One of those being able to verse another person. Sifu is you're constantly fighting the computer, whereas every other game you can fight an actual person.
Huh.
So I think the one that should take it is probably Multiverse, just because it did so well.
All right, fair.
Yeah.
Best family game: Kirby and the Forgotten Land. That's cool. I've heard that's a good game. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Nintendo Switch Sports, and Splatoon 3.
So about that. Family game.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say Kirby just because it's the best game on that list.
I'd probably say Switch Sports just because you can actually get the family involved.
True, but apparently it's a bad game, Jay.
Okay, I don't know. I've seen a little bit
I hear
of
what
it.
you're saying. It's very accessible, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Do we have to do best sports and racing game?
I mean, it's probably going to be FIFA or MBK or NBA 2K.
Why have they put in there sports and racing out of curiosity?
Because F1 is in there, Gran Turismo.
Yeah, but why not just have best sports game and then best racing?
Probably because there wasn't that much to pick from. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Best sim strategy game: Gene Spice Wars, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Total War, Warhammer 3, 2 Point Campus, Victoria 3. This has got to be Warhammer, right?
I've actually played Warhammer and Spice Wars. I think Warhammer definitely takes it. Definitely. Warhammer 3 is kind of insane. I still haven't, I've played the previous two, I haven't played this new one just because my PC cannot handle it. But yeah, I'd love to.
Looking at this list, Jay, it's actually really interesting because it feels like this year's been okay, but we've had a few amazing games, like really amazing games. Do you know what I mean? Like it hasn't been like a dead year, but we've only had 4 or 5 games that have been exceptional, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, what have been the exceptional games this year then? Elden Ring, God of War,
Ragnarok,
Horizon,
Forbidden West, Tunic. Anything for your side?
I'm just trying to think like that echelon of game, you know.
Yeah.
I guess to me it would be Arceus and the new Pokemon that came out. But
there you go.
Yeah, I guess so.
So we've had a 3 or 4.
I'm sure there's been more, but I can't even think.
Best sim strategy game.
Sorry,
you're right. No, well, multiplayer. You're right.
Yeah.
COD Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Multiverses, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, TMNT, Shredder's Revenge.
This is a tough one because I actually think Overwatch 2 is kind of an amazing game. There's just 2 things that are wrong with it. 3 things that are wrong with it. The monetization, the first week of it being out, and then the overall actual experience of being rewarded for playing the game entirely. It's just, they're all terrible. Other than that, the game is actually pretty amazing. For outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. Yeah, it's probably going to be COD. I feel like.
Yeah, I think COD. I think that'd be nice for COD to get that.
Yeah, gotta be COD.
Do you think? From my experience, Jay, Modern Warfare. Well, Jay, this was actually going to be a topic I talked about it later, but since we're on it, Modern Warfare 2 seems to be doing really well, both commercially and critically, and amongst the fans, right, and the gamers. And fair play to props for Infinity Ward for taking their time in basically rebooting the series in the right way, and people seem to be really enjoying it. I think it's a bit of a shame because I haven't played the game, but if it's as good as people say it is, why shouldn't it be considered for Game of the Year, you know?
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
It's nice to see because COD's back to, it's reliving some of the glory days, which is nice.
It's annoying because I really wanted it to be on Game Pass.
In time, Jay. In time.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, by the time it gets to Game Pass, it's going to be pretty old. I feel like Call of Duty's lifespan of a game is about a year, and then the next one comes out, and that's it, then, isn't it? So.
Yeah, bro, 100%.
It ain't got that long.
All right, most anticipated game: Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4 remake, Starfield, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Do you know what's funny? What game isn't on here?
Go on.
Spider-Man 2.
Huge fucking.
Where is it?
How can you?
It's not there.
That's bullshit.
I think I know why. I think it's because Spider-Man 2 hasn't got a release date, whereas all these other games have a release date.
Okay.
So I think they only went with games that have actually been announced. So it says recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. That's quite interesting.
I would like to vote for. I think Starfield should win. I'm worried Tears of the Kingdom will win.
Resident Evil shouldn't because it is basically just a remake, right?
Remake, yeah.
Final Fantasy 16, I think, is a contender. Hogwarts, potentially a contender, depending on what they do with it, because it could be amazing. We still don't know. Legend of Zelda, I guess, just for the fact that it's so popular, but we don't really know how it's going to innovate anything or like make it, how it's going to push the gaming medium. We're not really sure how it's going to do that. Because any of these games could really take it, apart from Resident Evil, I think. I mean, Resident Evil has the only reason I think that's on there is because it's pushing the medium in terms of what's possible with making old games modern. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like taking a game that's already been done and redoing it for the modern age, I think definitely it should be on that list of anticipated stuff. Yeah. I think any of those could take it. It'd be great.
Last one. Best adaptation.
Well, I know my answer.
Now, Jay, you talk about a tight category. I think this might arguably the tightest one of them all.
Well,
frankly.
I don't know. I'd get rid of Sonic and Uncharted.
Exactly, but the Cuphead show, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and Arcane are all top. Well,
I think Arcane and Cyberpunk are the two massive contenders, and then Cuphead comes in like second or third.
I think you're right, but Cuphead's fantastic for what it does.
It is, yeah.
I think Cyberpunk's going to win, but Arcane's fucking great.
The only reason that either Arcane or Cyberpunk wins is the bigger audience, because I think Arcane has a very, very large League of Legends audience, whereas Cyberpunk and League of Legends don't mix as much. So you're not going to get many League of Legends people who do the Cyberpunk one rather than the League of Legends one. See what I mean?
You reckon?
Yeah, because I'm a fan of both, but Cyberpunk is way above the rest. Like it's the clear winner.
Okay.
I have a feeling Arcane's going to win it though, unfortunately. Let's just say that.
No, Arcane is fantastic, so I will not take that. I will not take that.
We'll see.
Slander.
We'll see.
All right, well, that's all the Game Awards, guys.
Jesus.
Exciting times for those who care, or whatever. Just remember that it doesn't take away from a fantastic game, and there's been a lot of great games out this year.
Yeah, whatever happens doesn't really matter too much because a lot of them all deserve it. So any of them could have took it, it would have been fine.
100%. Jay, let's move on to the news. We're not even halfway through this bad boy. This is a long fucking episode. So let's just crack on and get through the news stories one by one. First up, Jay, a kind of surprising but not surprising announcement. On the Dead Island Twitter, Dead Island 2 has been delayed by about 3 months.
I'm very happy about this.
Go on.
It says it's been delayed to April from February because they were going to... Dead Island was coming out, I think, either a week before or a week after Hogwarts Legacy. So if I was going to take a week off, I'd have to pick one of the games and not be able to play the other. So I should be able to do
you're
both.
Right. That is a good shout. Yeah, no, that is a good shout. And
although,
it gives more time to...
I don't know how I feel about taking time off to be able to play games at the beginning of the year. That's a bit tough for me, so I don't know. We'll have to see about that.
What, just because of annual leave and stuff?
Yeah, just like, I'd rather take time off at the end of the year rather than the beginning of the year.
Sure, I get that.
Well, I take 1 week off at the beginning of the year and then 2 weeks off at the end of the year, preferably.
I get that.
Well,
are we concerned, Jay, that this game is just going to be delayed indefinitely again and, forever be lost?
Honestly, the longer it's delayed, the better, because it means they're putting time into it.
Disagree, Jay. This game's been delayed for like 7 years.
A decade, I think, at this point. About 8.
So, what if it just falls into the abyss again?
No, as long as it doesn't fall into the abyss, we're alright. I think that they're too far to go, not into actual release at this point. And you know how games are nowadays. Even if the game is broken, they'll still release it. They'll be like, "Oh, we had no idea. What? Crazy."
We'll patch it.
Yeah. Fuck 'em.
Next up, this one's a weird one, Jay. This one's a weird one. Oh, sorry, I got an itchy nose.
Yeah, me too. My nose has been killing me.
Christ. Oh, that was really itchy. According to Sony's latest financial report, the new PlayStation Plus subscription service has dropped subscribers from 47.3 million to 45.4 million since it launched in June.
Yeah, I'd say
so
there's definitely
2 million subscribers.
A level of that has to be Game Pass, right? I don't think it's obviously that much, but I think the level of it must be.
Agreed. The weird thing, though, Jay, is that technically speaking, those with the essential plan didn't lose anything. If that makes sense.
No, exactly. Yeah, it was just confusing
like they just you still get so old PS Plus. You get your online. You get your free games every month, and then you get the PS Plus collection. I think, right?
Yeah.
And then on the new PS Plus, you basically have that at the essential range. And then you have additional ranges if you want to pay more money.
Yeah.
So people have actively unsubscribed, basically, which is the weird thing. So like you say, it's got to be Game Pass, right? It has to be.
It's got to be a level of it, but I can't imagine there are that many people who have both consoles who went, I'll stop paying for that and start paying for that instead.
True.
Hard to say. This is a really tough one because it's only 2 million. I know it's obviously a lot of people, but it's not that many people.
Exactly. Maybe it's economic impact. Maybe
I think a lot of it honestly might just be economic. I'd say it's more economic. Yeah. Also, it could be people who now have jobs who didn't before. Could be a number of things. Yeah, it's whatever. We'll see how that. I mean, that's a fairly old story now. It's about a month old, but
another news story, another Kojima story, apparently, because Jay likes talking about them.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima has revealed Deadpool 2 actor Shiori Kitsuna will start in his upcoming game alongside Elle Fanning.
There we go. Yeah, so that was. I wanted to kind of bring up the fact that it looks like Kojima's in his early mystery marketing phase of game release, which he did with Death Stranding, which was
Wales. Look at the whales.
Yeah, look at the whales. Look at the strands and the people flying about in the sky and the weird necklace that floats about and the baby handprints. Like we're sort of in that level of. We're almost at that level of marketing. His game is probably a couple of years away at this point, but he also he's done quite a few interviews recently of saying that I'm not going to do the same thing again. It's going to be different. But I'm going to show off the actors who are going to be in it because he likes to do that. He likes to show off the people who he's working with. Because he was doing that with Death Stranding. All the actors, all the famous people that were in that, he was like showing them off and showing them in like mocap and all this kind of stuff before the game came out. So he likes this thing. He's almost like an actual film director, and he builds a repertoire. He builds like a relationship with the people he's working with. Like he actually becomes friends with them and works with them at the same time. That's amazing to me. Like he actually builds like a genuine relationship to make the experience of making the game. Like he genuinely builds his games with love, and I love that. That's amazing. Like he's literally nurturing. He's like taking care of this like bread in the oven, and it's just it's amazing. It's able to write. He's a craftsman of more than just games. He's insanely cool, man. Fuck.
And speaking of Kojima, Death Stranding hit its 3rd anniversary already, making us feel old.
Yeah.
And apparently over 10 million gamers have played the game.
So this is quite interesting because I want to make a comparison. So there's been over 10 million sales with Death Stranding over 3 years. Right?
Yeah.
Guess how many sales they got with the new Pokemon game in the first 3 days?
3 million or something?
10 million. Same as Death Stranding.
Fucking hell.
That game sold 10 million in 3 days. It was the most pre-ordered Pokemon game in history. It is now the best-selling Nintendo first weekend game in history. It's like breaking records, dude. It's insane. The audience is there, dude. The audience is there.
The audience is there. Jay, I'm really glad you put this on the news stories because I asked you about it last night, and I guess you did a bit of googling. But no, this is really cool. AC Valhalla.
Oh yeah.
We have an update on the final DLC, which will be called The Last Chapter, coming out December 6th.
Yeah. Same. Well, annoyingly, the same day as the new season for Overwatch 2. So I'll be playing Overwatch 2 instead.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can't wait to jump in and play The Last Chapter. A nice little wintry update. I like that.
I'll probably play that at Christmas, actually.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. And this does bring to a close basically 2 years of pretty consistent post-launch.
It honestly feels like yesterday we were talking about, I wonder what Valhalla's going to be like. I remember it so vividly. It's insane.
I know. It'll be curious to see how the game ages and how we think about it moving from here, Jay, because I feel positive about it. I think you will feel positive about it the more gap you have between Dawn of Ragnarok and now. But yeah, it's I mean, it's kind of delivered on everything I wanted, at least, right? It was a huge AC game. It was probably my favorite next gen game. It was a next gen game, and the post-launch support was great. And you just jump in every few months, you play it. It's a great time. And you jump out. I haven't really got many complaints. Yeah, is it bloated? Absolutely. Is the story way too long? Absolutely. But it kind of did what I wanted it to. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm just looking forward to the next one now. I'm more annoyed that I don't already know what the story is. I want to know what happens with Loki.
Oh, your patience, Jay. Patience.
I'm pissed, man. Honestly, I genuinely think the story of the Assassin's Creed games, it's like second to none. They're like one of the top 3 in gaming history. Honestly, genuinely, it's fucking perfect. It's so fucking good.
Fucking. Oh, just a quick one on Valhalla, Jay. Apparently, there's no new game plus, which people really wanted.
I saw that. I'm not really fussed about that. It's whatever.
Me neither. Why would you want to play through that story?
Yeah, 120 hours again, new game plus. I think so.
Fucking hell. You guys are mental, honestly. You got to be playing some other games if you're playing Valhalla twice. You just got to be playing some other games.
Yeah, play something else, please.
Persona 5, anything. We like Valhalla a lot. Go play something else.
Yeah, we like it a lot.
Jay, last up on your side of the news, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt's next gen update arrives this December.
Yeah, I think it's December 14th.
Great.
Yeah, they're basically just making
December 14th.
They're making Witcher 3 next gen finally, which actually might be the push I need to actually play the bloody game. I don't know. That could be my Christmas game. I don't know.
Is this you reckon?
Well, I don't know. I've been playing Persona 5, and that's a really long game, so I guess I could play Witcher 2 as well. Or Witcher 3.
Good man.
I don't know. It takes. I don't know. I'm more annoyed the fact that there's difficulty settings with Witcher. I'd rather be able to get all the achievements, but I'm not going to be able to if there's a hard. I just can't be asked to play it hard.
Let me tell you, as an expert who's got all the achievements, let me tell you how you do that, Jay. You play through the game. You do everything. You play through on a difficulty you feel comfortable with. And you just do New Game Plus on the hardest difficulty, and you'll be fine.
Okay, we'll do that then. Fine.
Jay, question for me. 1, Witcher 3 is actually a winter game for me because I played it over winter, which
it feels like a wintry game to me as well.
Bro, I fucking love gaming in the winter, man.
Yeah,
I think I'm getting more excited for winter than summer at this point. I know summer's all outdoorsy and shit, but
yeah, I somewhat agree.
Winter.
I just hate the cold.
I get that. But my question, Jay, will this bring me back to Witcher 3 as someone who played through it twice and got all the achievements? I don't think so.
No, I would like to get your opinion on how it looks, though. Whether there's actually any difference.
You know what? I'm more than happy to play it for you, Jay.
Well, I'll just try it out,
I'll jump in. I'll see what the game looks like. If I play it and I'm like, I can't really notice a difference. I think there will be different, but yeah, I'll give it a shot if you want. I've still got the disc, so why not? Won't take me that long. That comes from their Twitter, by the way. Right, moving on to some of my stuff. Now, I've got to say, I don't know the exact sources for some of... Oh, no, I've put them on here, actually. Ignore me. First up, Gears of War, according to Netflix, is getting an adaptation and a movie. It's getting a live-action movie and an animated TV show. Now, I know what you're thinking, listeners. Nick, you hate video game adaptations. Why is this on the news? Correction. I hate video game movie adaptations, Animated TV series, on the other hand, that's what we want to be focusing on, guys. Arcane, Cyberpunk.
They
Need I
killed
say
it.
more?
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually kind of looking forward to the live action one because I think Dave Bautista has. I don't think he's been confirmed for the main role, but he literally made an audition tape on Twitter, and he looks awesome. Have you seen it? Have you just not seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
He literally has like the cosplay outfit of the Gears of War thing. I recommend you watch it. I'm not sure if it's on his Twitter or not, but you might be able to Google it. I don't know, but it's pretty impressive. Like he's basically like saying to the people who are making the movie, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be playing the main character. I look like him. I'm the right size. It makes sense. I'm an actor."
I'm gonna be honest, bro. Yeah, no, it does make sense. I'm gonna be honest though. This sounds exactly like Henry Cavill when he wanted to play Geralt, where he was just like saying in interviews, like, "Yeah, no, I want to play him. Like, fucking let me play him." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look, I'm watching a video now. This is cool. Oh, he's got the outfit. He's laughing.
Yeah. He's actually
Yeah, fair play to him, man.
He did a pretty good job.
He does look right in the outfit, and you got to be pretty huge to wear that sort of cosplay, haven't you, to stand out?
He honestly looks like if he looked like that in the movie, I'd be like, "Yep, good enough. Looks fucking sick." Yeah. So it's got quite a few likes, quite a few retweets. It's got 3 million views on the video. Like this. He made sure to tag Netflix and Gears of War. So yeah. Funny thing is, who's the guy who made Gears of War? I forgot his name.
Cliff Bleszinski.
He's like, "Yep, you're good enough. I'd happily have you in it." So I'm pretty sure that's like the top reply. Let me double check. Yeah, Cliff Bleszinski, brother, as a designer of 1, 2, and 3, you're my first choice. That's literally what he says.
Nice,
he's like,
"Oh, that's nice."
I don't know if you can see it.
Right, Jake. Next up,
insane.
That's it. That's cool.
That's so
Next up,
cool.
we have Jay. I'm not sure if we've spoken about this because I know we haven't recorded for a while. But basically, Bethesda and Mick Gordon have been going back and forth. The original thing was they came out with a statement saying them and Mick Gordon weren't working together anymore, which is such a shame because the Doom soundtrack
weird
is
drama,
one of the best.
Honestly. Very odd drama.
Then Mick Gordon on Medium.com released a really long explanation in his statement on what happened with the Doom Eternal project and his involvement with it. Bethesda have already come back to that and said that they basically disagree. And they're happy to provide evidence to show their sort of side of the story, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's somewhere in between. The only thing I want to say on this is it's weird. You should definitely read Mick Gordon's Medium.com post because it gives such a great insight into game development, which we lack, basically. And I just also want to say it's a bit of a shame because we love the Doom game. Well, Doom Eternal's phenomenal and the soundtrack to both Doom games is great, and it's just a shame, really. But business is business, I suppose. What are your thoughts?
Just give me the cliff notes because I'm not fully in.
Okay.
You know.
So basically, from the outside looking in, it looks like Marty Stratton, who is, I think, studio head of id or an executive producer or one or both. Basically, it sounds like so I think some of the allegations that him and Mick Gordon didn't work well together.
Right.
And Mick Gordon is saying that the development of Doom Eternal was so hellish that basically, like, he didn't have time to produce the tracks. He didn't have enough vision of what the tracks needed to be, this kind of thing. And then because he's a contractor, he wasn't paid for some stuff.
Oh, shit, yeah.
All this kind of stuff. So that's kind of the general vibe I'm getting. I'm not really sure what Bethesda's stance is other than that they disagree.
So the evidence is more geared towards who?
Because of the detail of Mick Gordon, I would probably say Mick at this time because of how well he breaks down everything.
But we haven't had Bethesda's breakdown, though.
No.
Right, okay. So we've basically seen one side and not the other.
Pretty much.
Okay. Seeing as what happened with the Bayonetta actress, then we kind of might want to wait on that.
Totally.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Totally.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's a bit of a shame because the entire project was amazing.
Agreed.
But yeah, that is a bit of a shame. But yeah.
Jay, Kevin Conroy has sadly passed away. Just want to give a shout out to him and his work on Batman.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he was pretty young, to be honest. Right? He was like in his 60s, I want to say.
Yeah, 60s,
maybe even early 60s. It's always, I mean, even what's the name? The guy who played the White Ranger died as well, didn't he?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
he was 54, I think. Super young. It's insane. It's always it's always a shame when people go out that young. I mean, people obviously call those types of people old, but I mean that if you're in your 80s or 70s, like then yeah, sure, but 50s or 60s is way too soon, and it is always shitty.
Agreed. But I mean, a lot of people come out and said, "Look, loved him as Batman." I thought,
yeah, no, he will go down in history as the voice of Batman, 100%.
Yeah,
he is the voice for a generation, for multiple generations.
Totally.
Yeah, what a legacy.
All right, absolutely. Nearly there, guys. In terms of the news, penultimate. It looks like PlayStation is making some moves to ban shovelware and Easy Platinum games on the store. Reason I brought this up, a podcast I listen to, Sacred Symbols, a couple of the guys on there talk about this all the time, but I thought it was an interesting story anyway. Basically, at dex.x.com, there has been a sort of leak letter to devs apparently, which basically you can go see it for yourself, guys, but it basically talks about products whose functionality and or assets are copied are not meaningfully different from products already published on PlayStation Store, irrespective of the publisher of the record. This is one of the sort of specifications as to why it might be removed. So basically, the lowest of the low, Easy Platinum games where you tap the screen and all that kind of stuff, apparently they're going to make an effort to get rid of them.
Okay.
It seems as though the PlayStation Store's worse for it than the Xbox Store for some reason. I could be wrong. I don't notice as much shit on the Xbox Store, so I'm not sure. But
I don't notice it at all. So this isn't really like in my wheelhouse or in my my world.
So here's the arguments, Jay, on your point on that, right? So some people are saying, look, the PlayStation Store is getting too overloaded, and the games that should shine aren't shining, and we can't track how many new games are coming, and there's loads of new games that are dog shit, right? The other argument is, which is probably mine on your side, we know what games we want to buy, we wishlist them, and we keep an eye on them. If not, we get them at day one. We know what we want, right? Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, whatever it is, we know what we want, and that's we keep an eye on it. Short Humans 2, whatever it is. And then I think the other side comes back and says, well, yeah, but look, you might actually want to play Guacamelee 2 and you might really enjoy it, but you never know it exists because it's so funneled out by all the garbage that is on the store, or rubbish, I should say.
Yeah.
So that I think that's kind of the different sides there.
I feel like there should just be a different section. But like
shit game, no, they're gone.
Well, no, basically that, but like games that are like AAA, double and single, basically. Like there should just be like a section for like games that are made with a certain budget, almost. Like it does feel a bit class, like almost like having to put like a level of class into it or whatever. But it's kind of like, I don't know. To me, I hate having to wade through all the rubbish just to see all the good stuff. A lot of the time, the featured stuff at the top is obviously all that kind of stuff anyway. And obviously, the lower you go, the more you find all the rubbish. But yeah, I haven't had too much of an issue with it, but it would be nice to have a different section.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we've got editors' picks and stuff like that, which I think helps a lot.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, it should just be like a Rolodex. Like if there's some sort of like new game that isn't going to see the limelight as much, it should be like on a featured or like a editors type tab or something.
Totally.
Like it should definitely still have
whatever it might be.
Depending on, I mean, the way that world works is obviously like marketing and how much you pay to be on certain parts of the marketplace. You just get what you pay for. Simple as.
But problem with that, Jay, I think, is that some people might say, yeah, but look, some of these games need shining just from.
Well, because they don't have the budget. Yeah, I guess so. But that's what editors' picks are for. That's what featured games and all this kind of stuff. Like an editor isn't going to go, well, they didn't pay that much, so I'm not going to put them in my pick. It's like, no, I picked it because I fucking like it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I feel like if you're going to do that, it's just make that editor side of things more prevalent. Like that's actually a lot of the way how I find new games on mobile. So I go to the editor's pick and go, oh, hang on, a lot of these I wouldn't have seen had I not known they were there. So it's it definitely helps. Maybe not as much as the developers would like, but it's tough. That's just how the industry is. It's how you can't that's a really annoying argument about making the space more fair and the equal opportunity and stuff. Where it's kind of like, well, money makes the world go round. Have more of it. And obviously they can't make more unless the game sells more, and the game won't sell more unless it's seen more. So it's like a vicious circle of just shit anyway. It's never ever going to change. Never going to change.
Totally.
Unless they make their own space for it, make their own marketplace where all these small games are going to be seen.
Totally. The good ones, anyway, right?
Yeah, you need to have a dedicated space for it, because it's never going to be seen in this already, overcrowded space of all these amazing games that are made by people with so much more fucking money than you.
I'll be honest though, Jay. I will be honest. I think Xbox. One of the reasons Xbox has now this problem, I think their store's probably has a better filtration system by the looks of things.
Yeah,
but also,
it's much better.
I think Game Pass is a solution to this, and I'll explain why.
Massive! Oh, dude, the amount of indie games I've played that I would have never even knew about. I've downloaded Somerville. You seen that?
Yeah.
I want to try that out so bad. I'd never seen that had it not come to Game Pass. It looks great.
100%. And the thing about that, Jay, is that if you can download it for free, I truly believe the cream of the crop will come to the top.
Yeah.
So the likes of Tunic, on the Game of the Year list, I think part of that's because it's on Game Pass. I really do believe that.
That would have never got on any of those lists had not been on Game Pass. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
So, also, we will talk about Somerville very shortly, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it's about. I saw it. It looked great, and I was like, oh, I'll download it. I haven't even tried it yet. I have no idea what it's about. I don't even know what the gameplay's like. I just saw some of the artwork and went, yep, I'll give it a go.
We'll discuss that.
Artwork is honestly enough for me a lot of the time to even download it. So
I hear you.
Not to buy it.
Last up, Jay, on the news, looks like Remedy, during a investors meeting report thing, have talked about 2 type of Control games in development, which is very exciting.
So potentially
there seems to be a free-to-play co-op game, co-published with Tencent, which sounds like a mobile game, which I'm
Tencent are the guys who make mobile games, yeah.
And a spin-off game of sorry, hold on. What? Hold on a minute. I think I'm getting shit around.
What?
No. So that was called Codename Vanguard, Codename Condor, a spin-off game of Control, a bigger. Oh, fuck's sake, I have fucked it up. Right, let me start this shit again.
Please.
Jesus Christ. Codename Condor, a spin-off game of Control, proof of concept stage, very early on.
Okay.
Codename Heron, a bigger Control game in conception stage, and prototyping continues. Together with the Northlight technology team, the focus has been on developing the required technology and tools that will serve a number of Remedy games in the future. So overall, it sounds like there is some stuff going on at Control, very early stages, which I'm quite excited about. So
still need to play it. Still need to play it. I haven't played it yet.
I mean,
I know. I'll get
remember that. You remember that Horizon game you like?
All right. There's too much to play.
There's a lot. We've got my back catalog's fucking huge.
It's so big. Yes, obnoxiously big. It's annoying.
Right, that's it, mate. Time to move on to my topics, if that's all right with you.
Please, yeah, please.
Okay. So I've got quite a few things to talk about as well, Jay. Let me start with the small stuff, and then we'll get to the bigger stuff.
Okay.
So, Somerville.
Yeah.
So Somerville, Jay, was a game that we saw in E3. It's basically made. Okay, so basically what happened is, are they called Play Dead? I think they were called Play Dead. Play Dead made Inside. Sorry, Limbo.
Oh yeah.
And then they made Inside.
Yeah,
don't know if you played Inside.
I played
Inside's
both,
phenomenal. So Inside was an absolute masterpiece. I believe what happened is the 2 co-founders actually split, and I believe one of the co-founders or a number of people who were on the team actually formed a new team, and that team made Somerville.
Okay.
Now I'm not sure if you remember this, but the trailer was an E3. And
I'm now watching the E3 trailer just to remind myself.
It looks incredible. So it's basically, it looks like some type of alien invasion thing, but it's still got that kind of 2D, 2.5D thing going on with a dog as well. And basically, I was really keen on playing it. I really, 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 really wanted to play it. I actually believed it was going to be a 10 out of 10 game. I did believe that. It came out, Jay, and it was more like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
It came out?
From oh yeah,
yeah,
bro. It came out like 2 weeks ago, a week ago even.
Oh well, I mean, I know it's out now, but I feel like it only came out like the last couple of days.
About a week ago.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So it came out. The reviews weren't quite as beaming as I would have hoped. Apparently, the start of the game is fantastic, but there's a few issues with the game, both with design and function, which unfortunately seem to hold it back a bit. So it has put me off playing it. I'll be honest with you, but it looks like a great game.
It looks like War of the Worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, oh wow, yeah, I remember this trailer. I remember looking at this trailer being like, I'm not really that interested, but now I'm seeing it again. I'm kind of like, man, I feel like every day my mind changes on what my worldview about games is. Honestly, it's just like so crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Wow.
So I'm not sure whether I'll play it. If I do, I might play it over the Christmas break.
Yeah,
but maybe if you play it, you can let me know what you think of it. More than happy to get your thoughts on that before I play it. So that's that. So haven't played it. Another game that came out, Jay, Pentiment. I'm sure you must have seen some on this.
Pentiment. Is this a game? Is it?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass from Obsidian.
Oh, that thing. Yeah. That's got 10 out of 10, right?
Fucking across the board, man.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Not surprised. I'm honestly surprised this isn't on the Game Awards for innovation or something. Yeah?
Oh, do you know what? I think it might have missed the deadline.
That'd be why. Yeah.
So,
I'm now looking at it.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, so it's
because it's sort of in that like that like old English art style, right? Where it was like all the you look at the Battle of Hastings, tapestry. So the sort of old English tapestry artwork.
Totally. So apparently it's like a mix of a puzzle narrative game. Basically, it's made by a really small team in Obsidian, and the director over there is someone who's really famous for previous designs and things. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. But yeah, basically, Jay, critically acclaimed, to say the least.
Great.
Now, I actually fancied trying it out, but apparently it's like 20 to 30 hours long. And I'll be honest with you, as soon as I heard what sort of game it is, so apparently, if you like this sort of game, it's incredible. But not everybody likes this type of game, and it looks a bit like a sort of Tale of Monkey Island type game, and I don't rate those at all.
That's some of my dad's favourites, so I think he'd probably like it.
Might like it.
Ooh.
So yeah, so that's it really. So again, another game which I like the look of, but I don't think I'll play.
It almost looks like it's got a Persona-y type thing where like you can do things during the day.
Oh, okay.
Potentially, I'm now looking through the review, but. Yeah, it looks
Do you think
like
it
honestly looks like one of these really old, like PC, like dialogue games,
Yeah, totally.
But with like modern features in there to make it look more interesting. It definitely is funny. All the dialogue text is in that sort of old English text. It's actually kind of hard to look at and like read because it's not. It doesn't look
not
new.
easy, is it?
It looks old.
No.
It looks hard to read. I can barely read that.
Do you think you'll play it?
I'll definitely give it a go. I honestly think it's probably better than I think it is. And I prefer games that are like that.
Okay.
Where I look at it and go, if there's enough people who think it's amazing, it probably is. There's probably a reason for why. But because I don't think it looks good, it must have something about it that I will like in there. Like I think certain games have to. I think part of the reason why some games are so amazing is because they have something for everyone. But it doesn't mean that it has everything for everyone. It just has something, And I think that's probably part of the reason why about our argument earlier about games not maybe meeting the mark is because maybe every game has something for someone. Doesn't mean it has something for everyone. It doesn't mean it also has everything for everyone. It just has something for some people, and they might be disappointing for you because it has nothing for you. So it's just whatever's your preference. But again, it's like reading a book or watching a movie. You don't know you like it until you've read it or watched it.
Yep.
So you've got to have the experience before you really, really know.
Completely agree. So there's that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Hold on. I need to choke myself.
I don't think anyone's ever done that art style before. It's such a good idea. It's such a good idea.
No, it's really cool. So those along with Playtale, that, you know, Game Pass is having a few kind of cool
Game
releases.
Pass. It's Game Pass's decade. It really is.
And
They are
Scorn too, if you
killing
like
it.
that sort of thing. So, what have I been playing, Jay?
Please, yeah.
Now, actually, I have been playing more lately because I was ill end of last week.
Okay.
And I forgot to tell you last night. Yeah, on top of everything else I told you, I was ill last week.
Yeah, okay.
So I was off for a few days. So I just thought, all right, time to catch up on some games. So I played quite a bit of Xbox while I was off, which was quite nice actually, because I haven't played in quite a while, frankly.
Yeah.
So I've been playing Halo Infinite. The big winter update finally came for it. So we have a new multiplayer season, we have co-op campaign, and we have Forge.
I was going to say Forge, yeah.
So me and Will have been playing the co-op campaign, and we're having a blast. Basically just going through all the different achievements, and we've now started a new save together just to go through the actual whole campaign together, and we're having a blast. The game is fantastic. The actual gameplay is great. It's just a shame that this wasn't available on launch. Pretty much a lot of the narrative is around, well, Nick, is this too late for the game? I've thought about this a lot, Jay.
Yeah.
And I've come to the conclusion that I don't think, unless a game is truly dead and it's been like 5 years since it came out, I don't think there's rarely a game that will release a free update or an update that will not garner some attention and get some players back. I'm not sure. Halo Infinite will never hit what it kind of should have hit.
No.
But I don't think, I think every update is going to, people are going to go,
yeah,
oh,
people are going to come back to see what, if anything's changed. They kind of, because that happens with every game like that. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think the fact that people ask, is it too late? Well, you keep asking the question, so clearly it isn't. If it was, you wouldn't even ask the question, in my opinion.
I think it's definitely hanging on by the skin of its teeth.
Sure.
I honestly thought to myself recently, I was like, I wonder if Halo is going to announce that they're shutting it all down. Like, I did think that to myself. No, I did think that to myself. I was thinking, I don't know if there's enough people playing it right now, but there must be. There must still be enough, just barely, to keep it going.
I think there's a fair few.
We would have heard by now if it was going out. So there has to be the only way that anything like that can survive is if it's making enough money to basically cover the server costs, basically.
I think there's more than enough people playing it for that.
Well, then that's enough, then, isn't it? Which is funny because Blizzard and Overwatch 2, they're fucking. Luckily, they've changed a lot with the monetization with stuff, but they were way overcharging people for certain monetization stuff, and it's kind of like, whoa.
Oh, really?
They still are to a degree, but it's like you must be making enough. The thing is, the only reason I think people have realised that because they've lowered prices means they're probably not making as much as they want to be making. So.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Even though they've got like 25 million people playing the game, so they've,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, so we're having a great time with that. We'll continue playing it. But basically, Jay, so we started Outriders and we were playing Outriders together.
Saying, yeah.
And
how far did you get with that?
Not far.
Oh,
basically.
Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, not far at all. Like, we could only jump in for an hour or 2 hours when we played it. But the game is quite. I know every game's repetitive, but we did feel that game was particularly repetitive.
Yeah, there's nothing really special about Outriders necessarily. The end game isn't that great either, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I can totally see why you'd bash through it in a weekend.
It's a poor man's destiny. It really is. It's a poor man's destiny.
There we are. So anyway, what I was going to say was, like, if you were like Nick, would you rather play Outriders or Halo Infinite? I'm picking Halo Infinite every single time.
Yeah, I'd probably pick that too. Even though I'm not a fan.
So we're going to play through that over winter, I think, and stuff, and have a good time. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's been really good to play. The other thing I've been playing, due to speaking to Will, is obviously, Jay, we've talked about COD coming to Game Pass. What's going on? It's not happening. Impatience got the better of me.
No.
So let me give you the brief background.
No.
So when I was a couple of years ago from CEX, I think it was when I was unemployed, or I was off ill. But either way, I basically got the only way you could play the COD 4 campaign remaster was getting the deluxe edition of Infinite Warfare.
Yeah.
So I bought it from CEX, which was actually cheaper than the actual game, just on its own, which is fucking crazy. So I bought the game, and then they have a 2-day return policy. So I literally bashed out in 2 days.
Nice.
So I finished the COD 4 campaign remastered, ages wonderfully, truly still one of the great campaigns.
Yeah.
And then I also played through Infinite Warfare campaign just because I had the game, and pleasantly surprised it did the job, and it was fine. Returned it, got all my money back or whatever, but I never and then Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered came out, bought that, then came fucking free on PS Plus. But anyway, played through that, loved it, and then I never actually replayed a couple of the other old ones. I did replay Black Ops when I got the Infinite Warfare package. I did the same thing, bought it, completed it, returned it. Black Ops again aged really well, and I actually liked it more recently than I think when I originally played it. I think I appreciated it a little bit more, frankly. Now, I didn't replay a couple of the golden era of COD games, those being World at War and Modern Warfare 3, which I originally played in 2013, which was years after it came out, but I was still playing COD.
Modern Warfare 3?
So I played Modern Warfare 3 years after it came out in 2013.
3?
Yeah.
As in the worst Call of Duty that's ever been released?
Jay, Ghost is the worst Call of Duty.
No. Modern Warfare 3 was a stain on Call of Duty's
Ghost
legacy.
Is way worse.
No. Well, I returned to Modern Warfare 3. I was like, I can't. I was at the height of my Call of Duty love, and I couldn't stand it. It was awful.
Multiplayer or campaign?
Both.
Okay.
It was abysmal. I honestly, I felt gross. It genuinely made me feel sick. It makes me feel awful feeling about it.
Wow.
It's so bad. It is awful. You like that? You're telling me you like that?
No, I'm saying that I didn't mind it when I thought it was better. Hold on. I was expecting it to be truly horrendous.
Yeah, and
I didn't like it, but I liked it more than I thought it would.
Okay, I can accept that. Oh man, that was abysmal.
And that was like nearly
that
10
made
years
me
ago.
not play COD for years. Genuinely, I stopped playing COD after that for years, and I came back to it I think with World War II when it came out, and then I stopped playing it again.
Sure.
Oh god, that was awful.
So, I've rebought World at War and Modern Warfare 3 for the cheap from CEX.
I think I have World at War still. That's 360, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I still have all my original CODs.
Oh, nice. The only thing I haven't rebought, which I want to play, is Black Ops 2, which I will get to at some point.
I might have it. I'll have to have a look.
And basically, I'm currently playing through World at War, the campaign, at the moment.
Oh, sweet.
Which is really
still holds up.
Holds up really well.
Yeah.
Really well.
Great story, too.
Graphics aren't too bad, and the story holds up really well. Jay, what an interesting game, because obviously this came out in an interesting period, right? We just had Modern Warfare, and then we went back to World War II, and I think the majority of the narrative was, why are we going back to World War II? We've just had Modern Warfare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think there's also some people out there who think World at War is the best World War II COD.
Yeah, to me, Call of Duty is World War II.
Interesting. I disagree with that, but okay.
Well, no, it is. Call of Duty to me is World War II. It's the events of what happened from 1939 to 1945. And all the stories told from that period. And then the other side of Call of Duty is all the modern wars, like the Iraq War and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
That's what Call of Duty sort of split into 2 or 3 for me. It's World War One, World War II, and the recent wars. It can be any of those 3, but to me, I'd say Call of Duty is more of World War II than anything else. But yeah, I feel like the people who say that about why we go back to World War II, it's kind of they must be the younger audience.
Well, we were the younger audience at the time it came out.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's always strange.
Yeah. Totally. So it's holding up really well, Jay. I'm really enjoying it. Basically, I'm just playing through the campaign on regular. Jay, I am so bad at Call of Duty.
That's bad. That's funny.
Dude, so I used to play... I've pretty much finished... Okay, I haven't, because I didn't do Mile High Club. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
but I've pretty much done Modern Warfare 1 and 2 on Veteran, right?
Yeah, I think I've done every single Call of Duty on Veteran other than the last couple.
Right. Let me stop
Modern
you
Warfare
right
3,
there,
obviously.
Sonny Jim. Okay. I can appreciate... I had to relearn how to play Call of Duty on this game.
Yeah, no, you have
regular.
to. Yeah, you definitely have to get the muscle memory back. Yeah.
Dude, fucking... It was deep. I was like... until like 10 missions in, I was literally like, I don't feel like I'm playing this. I didn't even feel like I was walking around right.
That's the thing. Multiplayer versus single player is a different experience. Like, you could be good at multiplayer but terrible at single player, and vice versa.
See, I always thought if you were incredible at multiplayer, single player was a breeze.
Different experience. For some, I think playing against a computer is just different.
Sure.
And obviously, difficulty can change things. Like, you could be the master at veteran, but be awful online.
So here's one for you, Jay. Did you power through the stress points of being stuck on veteran campaigns, or did you
just power through it? I just kept going until I didn't die. There definitely was a point where I was like, right, I've died like literally tens of times now. There must be something I need to do. And I think after that, I just sort of studied where the enemies are coming from and made sure to kill them in different orders, and then found the right order that worked, basically.
So it was quite methodical.
Oh yeah, it was basically like, right, where do the enemies spawn from? Which one do I need to kill before I get swamped? And then hopefully I just prayed that I didn't get swamped anymore, and then it just sort of worked. It was definitely a strategy. You need a strategy. You can't just. I mean, you can power through it, but you definitely at some point you will need a strategy.
Right. Okay. In that case, then, what about like the bits in World at War and Modern Warfare 2 when they can continue to respawn, but you have to sort of move up to stop them respawning? Do you know what I mean?
You just take it slow. You really, really have to take it. You take it like slower than slow, like snail's pace. You kill one enemy, you move slightly. You kill another, you move slightly. You just have to sort of time it right. A lot of it's just timing too.
And did you, when you play through Veteran, do you think that you powered through because you enjoyed it so much at the time? Like, would you do that now? You know, would you spend?
Oh yeah, I'd do that. It's a tough one. The story would have to be good enough for me to do it, I think.
Sure.
I think most of I'd say if all the Call of Duties I've done on Veteran, the story's been good enough for me to want to do it.
Would you replay an old one on Veteran? Or I suppose you wouldn't need to because you've done it. Actually,
probably not. No.
Would you play through? So, like every time you played these COD campaigns, would you play through the first time on Veteran?
No.
Okay.
You'd play through it probably like on normal or easy or something.
Okay. So, do you think I could do these games on Veteran?
Yeah, very doable. They're not impossible. You just need to know what your skill level is, where your ceiling is. Because
Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered, I did a few on Veteran, and I'm gonna be honest, Jay, I hit a wall on the one in Brazil. Is it Brazil? Sao Paulo.
Sure.
Where you've got the shacks, and then you move on to the area where they're all in the windows and stuff.
I remember.
I just thought, Jay, like, yeah, I could sit here and try this for 2 hours, but I'm not sure if I want to.
I guess you could also look up a YouTube video of like where you need to position yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
Do that too.
I wasn't feeling the love enough to power through. What are your thoughts? Do you think I should? Do you think like?
I mean, I think the other thing for me was also the achievements at the time, but I don't know if I cared that much. I don't know. I think for me it was proving to myself that I was good enough.
And do you think there was a bit of peer pressure because we were all playing it at the time?
No, because nobody was playing campaign. Not really.
I play campaign.
I feel like when I spoke to people about it at school, they were more concerned about multiplayer, so I did it myself more than anything.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind playing through Ghosts again, honestly.
Oh, Jay, please
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Jay, please.
I think it's in my top 3 Call of Duties. It's like Modern Warfare 2, I guess. I don't know. Could maybe top 5. It's like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, World at War, and then maybe Ghosts is like 4 or 5.
Jesus Christ.
It just depends. Maybe Modern Warfare 1 and then Ghosts. It's good stuff. I honestly miss Call of Duty. I wouldn't mind playing this new one, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money.
I want to play it on Game Pass.
Okay, well, tell you what, Jay. What I might do is, I think because I'm feeling World at War, I'm going to try World at War on Veteran.
Okay.
And
have you played through it on regular?
Yes, well, I'm doing that now.
Okay, we'll finish that, and then, I mean, if you want to do Veteran, there is an achievement for it, right?
Yeah, for every mission, actually.
Yeah, we'll do that then. Do it, you know.
Well, the problem is, Jay, I just can't justify it, bro. Every time I say it, I'm just like, I don't want to spend that much time on a Call of Duty game, on a campaign right now. You know what I mean?
Only ever do what you feel you want to do. Never ever push. Never like force yourself to do anything
Never
like
force.
that. Never force it, because if you force it, you'll just feel bad. Like, you make yourself feel bad about it, and then you resent the game for it.
It's true.
Like, you'll leave yourself with a bad taste, and you don't really want that.
You're right. You're right. Okay, let's actually move on to what I actually have finished.
Okay, yeah.
I have finished some games. First up, Jay, Demon Souls remake.
Oh, Demon Souls. Okay, sure.
Demon Souls.
You finished it.
Finished it.
Platinum or no?
Completed it, mate. Absolutely not, Jay. Absolutely not. Platinum would take a new game plus through game and then some.
Yeah.
And I do not like that game enough to do that.
Okay.
So, incredible game, Jay. In terms of it, I think it might be the best looking game I've ever played.
Yeah. Bluepoint did an amazing job. It's Dark Souls if it was made in a modern engine, basically.
Correct. I mean, I assume it looks better than Elden Ring.
Yeah, I think graphically, 100%. Yeah.
So,
content-wise,
amazing looking game. Really enjoyed the sort of standard Dark Souls pacing. Now, as you know, Jay, my only other game is Bloodborne.
Yeah.
And I've decided that once I've gotten into it, I've decided that I should go back and play these other games, right? So I started with Demon Souls Remake because one, it was on PS Plus, and two, it's the first one, kind of. So you can definitely tell, Jay, that there's a few design changes here. So the bosses, for instance, are more puzzle-based than endurance-based, shall we say? And also... which I don't think I like. I didn't like puzzles, actually, so I didn't like that as much.
Sure.
But the boss designs are awesome, always. And then the other thing I noted, Jay, is the bonfire locations are way more punishing. Way more punishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite old school in that sense.
That's a point, actually. Yeah, I'd say Dark Souls 1 feels fairly punishing in its placement. I'd say it gets slightly easier as you go along, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 2 and 3 definitely felt less punishing.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been the same. I just didn't, maybe it just felt different. But I don't know.
Sure. But really enjoyed playing through it. Really glad I finished it. Had a good time overall. There were a few moments when I was like, ugh. And you didn't quite, like, if you were leveling up right, you didn't quite get that overpower buff that you do on Bloodborne, say, where, like, if you do it correctly and you don't risk too much and you level up when you have enough blood or souls, whatever the fuck, I do think towards the end of the game, like you said, like we spoke about, Jay, right? Like, you can finish bosses in one attempt. Like, if you're careful, you definitely can. I didn't get that as much with this game. It was harder, frankly.
Well, okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, any questions really on that?
Honestly, more than anything, I'm just surprised that you're even into it, to be honest. I would have never pegged you as a Souls person, but I'm glad that you're getting there. And I'm guessing you still got to play 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So have you acquired them, or is it still a not acquired but planned to play stage?
Yeah. So I've bought Dark Souls 1 Remastered. I've bought Dark Souls 2 Scholars of the First Sin, and I've bought Dark Souls 3 Game of the Year Edition.
Oh wow. Okay. So you're ready to go.
I am. Yeah,
I think now it's just a time thing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
Fair enough.
So yeah, it's just a time thing. But I will say, Jay, when I sit down and I think, what do I want to play? One of the first things that come to mind are still, I want to play a Souls-like game. So
okay. Well, it's strange that you're still in that mindset. Cause usually after I've finished a Souls game, I'm so out of it by that point. I'm like, I'm not touching one of those things for a while.
Really?
Yeah, it takes so much brain power. My God. I just feel not as capable at times.
I'm a bit worried. I know you like it, Jay, but I'm a bit worried about Dark Souls 2 in that I feel like I'm going to really struggle getting through that game.
You'll struggle the same amount as you struggle for any Souls game. They're all the same, to be honest, in terms of like level of struggle to varying degrees, I guess. I don't know.
I guess
a lot of it is just confidence, honestly. If you've got the confidence to go into playing it, and more than anything, you're probably going to do well. If you don't feel confident about how you play, then you're probably not going to do very well. I'd say 50% of being good at that game is confidence.
But like, it's the oldest one in terms of graphics now because of the remasters and remakes, and you get the 50% death thing, which you kind of get in Demon Souls, but you kind of.
What do you get 50% death? Remind me.
So basically, every time you die, your health goes down until it reaches 50%.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, true story.
Isn't that similar in Bloodborne?
No, but it's
like
in Demon Souls.
It's like an insight thing, or I can't remember.
No.
Okay,
I think
maybe
you
I
lose
do.
an insight. I think you lose insight if you die in Bloodborne.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
But
Dark Souls 2 I
not
think was the most
that
annoying
bad.
one because also if you die too many times, the enemies in the area get harder.
Are you sure that's not what the health thing is you're talking about?
They might have changed, but I'm pretty sure there was something like that in Dark Souls 2 or 3. Where, yeah, you die like.
God.
It's much like Sekiro, where if you die so many times, it just gets harder. So it basically forces you to get better at the game.
But the game's hard anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But I think I was already coming off of Dark Souls 1, so I felt pretty confident, so I never really felt the effects of it.
Sure.
I think I only died. Well, I died a lot, but like not enough for me to like to notice.
Well, that's the latest on Demon Souls. So I've got the others ready to go. I'm really excited to play Dark Souls 3 because I've heard that's really good.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. Yeah.
And I've heard Dark Souls 1's a classic.
It is. It's very much a classic. Yes, yes, it's a classic.
Even now, Jay, though, I'm thinking this ain't Bloodborne. You know what I mean?
Bloodborne was it's a different ball game, honestly. Like it's much the same, but it's. I think the story of Bloodborne is better than anything from Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3, maybe.
I think the gameplay. I agree, but I think the gameplay of Bloodborne is just what makes it
very
stand
different.
Out so much.
Very different. Yeah.
I really love the gameplay.
Yeah.
So the other thing I finished, Jay, which I'm very happy about, As Dusk Falls. So this was a narrative-driven game where you make choices for characters. It had that sort of concept art looking
painting like a painting, but yeah. Because there's been films that have been like that too. So
sure. And it was basically made by a studio by someone who I believe came from Quantic Dream, who made Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human. So Caroline, the studio head, she and a small team have been. I think they've been making this game for like 6 to 8 years.
Oh yeah, that's a long time.
There's a long time. There's 2 episodes, 3 chapters in each, so 6 chapters overall. And I'm pleased to report, Jay, I think this might be one of the best episodic choice-based games I've ever played.
Well, that's good. That's probably why it's in the list of in the nominations at the minute.
I thought it was really great. I thought it was really, really great. I really enjoyed it. The ending surprised me slightly.
So is there multiple endings or is it all the same? Because from what I've seen of videos of the game and people explaining the way that you can make different choices is you can play through that game twice and have different choices and have it be a completely different game. Or does it all converge to one ending no matter what you choose?
So it kind of converges to one ending, but the endings for each character can be so different.
Yeah, but a bit like Until Dawn then.
100%.
Because that game has like 16 endings depending on who dies and who doesn't.
We're talking about that extensive in terms of almost anyone can die.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
So there's a you can see the tree after each episode in terms of choices.
I think that's probably what I've seen.
it's significant.
Extensive.
Your choices can really differ.
Okay.
100%. But the characters are really well. Actually, Jay, the characters are well written. The game's well written. Frankly, I think the direction of the performance is what makes it outstanding. It's very believable.
Yeah, that's what you like. Okay.
It is. See, people might hate me for this. I actually think it was slightly too long. I think we could have done with maybe an episode shorter. But overall, really enjoyed it.
So what was the overall length then? I'm going to guess 15 hours.
Do you know what? Let me just check on my Xbox to give you an actual good estimation.
If I had to guess, I'd say like 2 hours per chapter. So
I think it was around that.
Yeah.
I think it was around that. Let me see if I can get it up.
I'm sure someone could speed run it in like 10.
No doubt, if not quicker.
If not quicker, yeah.
So I've logged 13 hours.
Yeah, that's probably about what I thought. Okay, that's not too bad.
So yeah.
Well, what's the achievement like on that then? Did you get everything or is it not? You got to play through it multiple times.
1000G.
So you can do
It's
one playthrough and get everything, yeah.
Well, so the chapter select's fantastic. So you can play through and maybe you get. Well, no, you can't get every achievement because there's different choice-based ones, but you can get a lot.
Yeah.
But the chapter select's brilliant because you can chapter select from a certain area or point in the story, and you can create a new save. You can overwrite a save, and you can just explore, and it doesn't save at all. Okay. So because you can do that from very specific points, it's really easy to go back and just mop up on the achievements. The only one I had a little bit of trouble with was the very last achievement, and you have to go back a fair bit, and you have to keep playing the game because if you jump out of it, it messes it up. So that was the only time where I probably spent about 30-40 minutes trying to get this one achievement. But aside from that, it was pretty straightforward.
Well, you're actually selling it a little bit, so I'm potentially try that out. I don't know. Seeing as it's on Game Pass.
One of the main characters is called Jay, believe it or not.
Love it. Don't hear it too often.
It's on Game Pass. That's the reason I played it. Enjoyed it. For me, Jay, I think it peaked in the middle of the story.
Okay.
Episodes 3 or 4, maybe 2 to 4.
Sounds really very similar to how a lot of TV shows are nowadays with their seasons. They peak around the middle and then just die off.
True. The ending was good.
Okay.
It was. I don't know. There was maybe it's because I was coming to the end of the game. I'm not sure. Jay,
was it like an ending where it was like left to interpretation, or was it very clear what the ending was?
Very clear what the ending was, even with your decisions. But there is one thing. I mean, minor spoilers. No. Spoilers for As Dusk Falls. If you want to go in completely blind, just skip 30 seconds. I want to go in blind. Well, it's not a spoiler, Jay. If
all right, at least they say.
There is a cliffhanger.
Okay, that's fine.
That's it.
So the ending is a cliffhanger. Like it could have, so it is left to some level of interpretation.
Yes.
Does it leave opportunity for DLC extra chapter?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine then. Yeah, that'd be cool.
But that was all I was going to say. So yeah, a cool game, and I'm glad I played it. Probably one of the more under, what would you say?
Underrated?
Like under the radar releases perhaps
this
year?
Yeah. I definitely remember the trailer from E3.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, a lot of YouTubers did talk about it. I think that was one of the things, Jay, where the timing for that game was really good because there wasn't much else coming out at the time. So I think it got a bit more press.
You kind of need that. For games that maybe aren't going to be seen as much, you need the timing is everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's it, Jay. I've mopped up a couple of games. I'm playing a few more. I'm playing COD. I'm playing Halo. I'm hoping that next time we record, I would have actually done quite a bit in terms of these games, because frankly, Jay, back in the old days, even the 360, you can actually finish a game in a couple of days, so that was nice. But anyway, yeah,
love it. All right. Well, I guess the only other thing is we're now Game Awards is the perfect time to show off a bunch of new releases in terms of things that are coming, trailers for games that are going to be out in like 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So people are speculating about what we're going to see. What would you say you'd want to see at the Game Awards trailer wise?
Oh, great question, Jay. I don't want Starfield because I want them to work on it.
Yeah, me too.
And I want
them
to polish it. What do I want? A game that's announced, mate, or like
either or?
Okay. Like, what do I genuinely want?
Yeah. What have we not seen a lot of, trailer wise, that you'd like to see more? Either like gameplay that we haven't seen or whatever.
What about if I know that the game's in development trouble?
Yeah, that's fine. Anything. Like I want to see a Spider-Man 2 trailer. That's my number one Spider-Man trailer.
Nice.
And Wolverine as well. I want to see a Wolverine trailer.
Sure. Okay. I'll be honest with you, Jay. I really want to see Fable.
Yeah.
Where's that game? I want to see.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was there. But Xbox, I think, are a lot more friendly with their Game Awards trailers. Sony, not so much. True. I think anything Sony related, we're not going to see as much of, if not at all.
True.
Sony wait to leave theirs until they do state of plays or showcases. So. Or like Tokyo Game Show or something like that, you know. They're a lot less likely.
I'll be honest, thinking about it, I'm not sure if there's that many games which I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for Starfield, I'm excited for Fable, I'm excited for Hogwarts, but like, I don't think there's many games where I'm like, man, I can't wait to play, because like a lot of them are out now that I haven't played yet, you know. So like Horizon and God of War.
I feel like I'm actually very tempted to still get Forspoken, but I think I'm going to wait until it's slightly cheaper.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games I'm looking at right now, like even the new Need for Speed, where I'm kind of like, I will play it, but it won't be till it's like super cheap.
That will come to Game Pass, mate.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
It will. It will.
Yeah, I mean the other ones did, so yeah, you're right.
Right, Jay, shall we move on to and play some games quickly?
Okay, what do you want to play?
Guess whose review?
Is it your turn, is it?
It is. So we pick a random game review, and we pick 3 quotes from the game review about a random game, and we have to basically guess the game. So this week I've got the quotes, Jay's got the guess. Jay, without further ado, when you're ready, what are the scores on the doors, by the way?
35 to 34 to me.
Oh, Jesus Christ, it's tight. I feel like you've got an advantage recently. I'm not sure how you've done that, but okay. Right. I think this one's pretty okay, actually.
Okay.
So, whenever you're ready, off we go.
Yeah.
Quote number 1. Despite being a game with no dialogue and no cutscenes, except for when you boot up the game and after you slay the final boss, there is a story here, told in entry logs you can hunt down and unlock for items and enemies and environments.
Okay. I've got a brief guess, but I need to hear it one more time.
Okay. Right. Despite being a game with no dialogue or no cutscenes, except for when you boot the game up and after you slay the final boss, there is a story here, told in log entries you can hunt down and unlock for items, enemies, and environments.
This may or may not be true.
Okay.
But I want to guess Hades.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure. There is dialogue, but there's no dialogue. You know, it's all written stuff.
Sure. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm going with Hades.
Final guess?
Yeah.
That is a fantastic guess, Jay, but not right, I'm afraid.
Damn you.
But that is a fantastic guess.
Okay, so I feel like I'm probably
you really
in the
are,
right.
You are along the right lines there.
Okay, fair enough. I'm hoping this next one will give me some more insight.
Quote number 2. While you're searching for the teleporter in each stage and fighting smaller clusters of enemies, you chat about life and what this item or that one does. I think that's assuming you're playing with people.
You bugger. I think well, yeah, I know what you mean now. This is Risk of Rain, but probably 2. We'll go with Risk of Rain. This is Risk of Rain. It's got to be.
Well done, Risk of Rain 2. Nice.
Pog you.
Pog you, Pog.
Pog.
Last quote, Jay. Risk of Rain. Well, I wouldn't have said this, but Risk of Rain 2 is a roguelike less concerned with where you're going than the loot you pick up along the way. For the last year it spent in early access, it actually didn't even have an ending, just an endless sequence of repeating levels that threw more and more enemies at you until you succumb to the inevitability of math.
Yeah. Gotta love it. I can't believe I actually got that. That took me. The teleporter gave it away. I was like, okay, that's it now. If you hadn't said that, I probably would never have got it.
There you go. I haven't played it either, so that's.
It's a great game, but it's very niche. Like you have to like a certain type of game to enjoy that kind of thing.
Sure.
I probably played the first game hundreds of hours, but maybe the second one only maybe about 10 or 20, maybe.
Sure.
First game was insane, man. So good.
Would you prefer the first one or the second one?
Probably the second one just because of the updated graphics, but the first one definitely has like a certain charm to it that is different to the second one.
Okay.
Although there's actually an update about that. Gearbox now own Risk of Rain 1 and 2.
Yes, I didn't put it on the news, but I should have. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think they published it before, but now they actually own the whole thing.
Shit.
I think they bought out.
No, go on.
Right, I think they bought out the company the devs who made it.
Also, Gearbox just bought Volition, Saints Row developer.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Stories.
Are you sure it was Gearbox who bought them? I thought it was. Is it Mercer? What's the name of that massive thing that recently bought a load of stuff?
Oh, Embracer Group?
Yeah, I thought Embracer bought.
I think Embracer owned them actually.
I thought Embracer bought Volition, or maybe they owned them before, but now Gearbox do.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. That's not good because it's an awful company.
Awful game.
Awful game. Apparently they updated it recently. They tried to update the game recently, saying, "Oh, the game's completely different now, and go play it." And it's like, nope, still the same game. So okay, fair enough.
Oh, Jay, I forgot to mention I am actually getting a few Chivos on World at War that I never got before.
Ah, that's interesting.
I'm
sure if I replayed it, I'd probably do the same.
Yeah, I just thought, why not? You know, might as well.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. All right, Jay. Next up, we have Pixel Perfect, another game.
Okay.
I know we've got the full shebang here, mate. Full shebang. I know you're starving, but we'll get there.
No, all right. I've just got to find the right.
Right.
There we are. Oh yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah. So guys, basically, me and the production team, we
well, it doesn't help that I can see the name of it too.
Jay, I'm gonna kill Elle. Right, close your eyes for a sec.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it was that anyway, but it's funny that I can see the name of it. That's a good thing it wasn't something else. I didn't know what it was.
God.
That is really funny.
To be fair, he has done it on the other ones.
Yeah.
Elle, you let the team down. Alas. Basically,
funny.
what happens is you can open your eyes now, Jay. So basically, Elle pixelates some box art cover. We do try and audio it a little because we know you're listening. So Jay, what does this look like? I guess
that's funny. I think this might have been a different edition because there's like what looks like a face of an animal, more than likely, with like the white stripe along the side. So I can potentially guess this is like a 3DS or a DS game of some kind. But then there's a bunch of green and like red around. And I have a feeling this might have been. So I have a feeling this game had multiple either versions or like editions that had different colors on the front. And I want to say one of them had like a light blue color and one had like a green color. And this is Nintendogs. I know that for a start.
Okay.
But I can't remember if I had the blue one or the green one because I remember seeing both. And this might have also been like some sort of Christmassy type cover as well for some reason. I'm thinking I could be completely off there, but I have a feeling it's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we have a look?
I mean, it's definitely.
It is in fact. Oh, Jay, which dog?
Oh, it's a Labrador on the front.
Very good. Very good. Labrador and friends.
Yeah, because I think there was one that had like a different dog on the front, right?
Yeah, I think one had. I don't even know types of dogs.
I'm not a fan of dogs, right? But I played this game when I didn't know I wasn't a fan of dogs. Like I hate anything with a dog.
This game was the shit.
Yeah, it's classic. Like everyone who had a DS had this. But you know what's funny? You were talking about Somerville earlier and the fact there's a dog in it. That actually makes me want to play it less.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like games with dog companions. I'm not a fan.
I've got to be honest, Jay. I think you might be in the minority there.
I'm definitely in the minority, 100%. If there's a game that has an animal companion that's a dog, I'm a lot less likely to want to play it.
What about Fable?
Yeah, I mean that's different because I didn't really think about it back then.
What about? There's a really recent game that we've both played.
Like if it's a wolf companion, cool. But a dog, nah. Like a regular domestic dog, no. Like I feel like the only exceptions in like any sort of media recently, I guess, is I Am Legend. It's like the only exception.
Okay, fair enough.
Like even in the new Pokemon game, there's a dog companion of one of the characters that you have to like heal over the course of the game. And I was like, I don't care. I really could not give a shit.
Right. Okay.
Hated it. That was like the most annoying thing in the game for me. I hate dog Pokemon too.
The thing that annoyed me about Nintendogs, Jay, is that I didn't know how to complete it, and that was frustrating me towards the end of my time.
Yeah, no, I got there in the end, but it was annoying. Yeah.
Right, next up.
I think I know what this is. So it's like what looks like a sky background. I have a feeling this is a GameCube game because there's like a little purple and black stripe at the top. So I think I'm pretty close with that. There almost looks like some sort of like foresty type, very bright foresty sort of thing at the bottom. And then it almost looks like a house with like a chimney, I guess. But I have a feeling that's not actually a house. I have a feeling that's actually like the logo of the game at the top there, sort of in yellow. So knowing this is potentially a GameCube game, I have a feeling this might be like Animal Crossing or something like that. I can almost see that there's something else that's similar to that this might be. But my guess is Animal Crossing. I have a feeling it isn't, but I think it's a Animal Crossing game.
Okay.
That's my guess. I know it's going to be similar.
On the title?
Huh?
Any guess on the title? Yeah, because like Animal Crossing New Horizons, Animal Crossing.
I couldn't tell you what any of them are called.
Okay.
There we go. It is Animal Crossing. Is it like the original one? The
Animal
first
Crossing.
One?
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. I got the house.
Nice.
I got the trees, and yeah, I had a feeling.
Any idea on the theme for this week?
Either some sort of animal theme, or Nintendo. It's either like Nintendo or animals. One of the two.
Okay. Last up, I think. Well, no, actually, these are all easy. So anyway.
Is the name definitely changed on this one?
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, I know this is. Again, definitely an animal theme going along, but okay, it kind of almost looks like a weird sort of like lava-y type thing going on.
Mustafa. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like some sort of weird lava background almost, but this is definitely Stray. 100%. I can tell that this is Stray.
This is in fact Stray. 3 out of 3 this week, Jay. Nice
work.
Nice
I think it's my first time getting all 3. Honestly, like ever.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
More than
right, let's go back to the other screen. Great stuff.
Okay.
Great stuff.
We're there. Great. That was a very, very long show.
You and me?
That's a long show.
Long show. But we're there.
We've got lots to catch up on, and I think hopefully we'll have more to talk about next time we do an episode as well.
True.
Actually, when is the Game Awards? Is it the 2nd?
Oh, is it that close?
Yeah, I think it's either the 2nd or the 8th. I always get it mixed up. Let's have a look. Are you looking it up?
Oh no, I thought you were.
Okay, I'll check. Yeah, so hopefully by the next time we talk, we'll know. 12 days till the show, so 28. I think it's the 8th. 7.
I think it's the 8th.
Yeah, it's the 8th. It's Thursday the 8th. So yeah, we've got a while. So potentially by the next time we talk, we'll know what the answers are, and we'll have a bunch of trailers to talk about as well. Upcoming games. We might even see a trailer for a game we don't even know about yet.
True. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
I think a good catch up. I think. Yeah, a long episode. To be fair though, Jay, I feel like we get into a good flow about half an hour into the show sometimes, you know?
I'm not even thinking about it.
Fair enough. Well, I'm too meh for my good. Alright, Jay, to close the show, we have a quote, which I think we might have already used before, but anyway. Remember, no Russian.
Oh, that's
bro?
Yeah, I was going to say. It took me a second.
Oh,
I was like, what's he on about? I thought there was more to it for a second, but yeah, no, I know.
Nah,
yeah.
That's it.
Good stuff.
Just shouting out COD. A lot of COD going around. I'm feeling the COD energy. I've got to be honest.
Yeah. Love it.
All right, Jay. Anything else to close from your end?
Not right now. I'm sure that's something next time. I'm sure there's something I forgot.
I'm starving.
Yeah.
Nah, there always is, mate. All right. Speak to you guys later. Thanks for listening. We will see you soon, I hope.